they were in charge instead of the Giovanni.
Oh, but they are in charge. You haven't read any actual mage, have you?
I've read the parts that were relevant, but not. I didn't sit down and read it cover to cover.
You know about the different traditions?
I've read that there's different types of mages and they have different spheres
Yeah,
that
well,
they pull
different
from.
specialties
Yeah.
and paradigms. Tremere was originally a part of the Hermetics. I can't remember their proper name, but they were outright mages, and their specialty was potions, and they used them to stay alive forever. They were basically immortal. And then around 1100, 1200, paradigm started to shift globally, and reality started nullifying their magic. So they dabbled in everything from infernalism to like body swapping, and eventually they figured out a way to basically destroy other vampires and turn them into a potion, and then turn themselves into vampires to maintain their immortality.
And then these guys are the result of.
It's that one specific cabal of hermetic mages became Clan Tremere, and then like the clans all tie back to an antediluvian, but they don't have an antediluvian, so they did legit psyops and convinced the Vampire Society that the most peaceful and kind clan in existence were diablerie committing psychopaths, and had them fucking killed and took their place. And they're Tremere, think of them like the Jew. They sit behind the Ventru, who are nominally the head of the Camarilla, but really the Ventru does everything that Tremere wants them to do.
Oh, yeah, I got them mixed up with Giovanni.
Yeah, Giovanni's just a independent clan.
Yeah, the Venture is who I meant.
No, the Tremere like exactly where they are, because they're kind of sort of second in command, which is good because people always want to be in command, which means when someone with a knife comes up to take over, they're going to attack the Ventru, not the Tremere.
So
And the Tremere keeps their power.
All right.
We was awakened and shit.
But Tremere, like, because they aren't vampires in the sense that everyone else is, it's hard to play one unless it's a game that everyone's a Tremere and the game is written for Tremere. They absolutely adhere to their own clan and their own clan's plans and plots before anything else. They pretend to be traditional vampires doing whatever they're supposed to be doing, but it's all a lie.
So wait, they're mages that are tricking all the vampires into thinking.
No, they're vampires now. One of the things that fucked with them is when they turned into vampires, they physically died, and they lose their like awakened soul, and they can't do true magic anymore. So that's where they get thaumaturgy, which is basically magic, but not as versatile or flexible as real magic.
It's blood magic.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting into Mary Sue territory by going into this clan.
No, you're not playing a Tremere.
Yeah.
But they're...
Wait, are you saying that that we're not doing that, or
no? You are going to be a... Well, all you need for the game is you are in the Camarilla, and you're a fledgling. A neonate is a basic vampire. You're not even that. You're a fledgling. You are considered property of whoever made you. and you have to do everything they say because it's really easy to make new vampires. If you're unreliable or you fly off the handle easy and break the masquerade, they can just kill you and make a new one.
That's the part
So
I was reading. I don't know the clan specifics.
It's not too important other than weakness and disciplines. But you've just been a vampire for like 2 weeks to 6 months. It's up to you. And for every fledgling, there comes a night where you're given some sort of test, and if you pass, you are a neonate and you have your freedom to operate within vampire society however you please. And the game is your test. That's where it starts. So even like clan traditions or clan politics is not that relevant to you because you're not really involved in it.
Toreador sound like a bunch of fags. Ventru are baby rapers. Let's see. That's the impression I'm getting. Bruja are a bunch of bipolar spurgs. Gangrel are Ted Kaczynski vampires.
Not far off.
Nosferatu are ugly incel vampires.
Yep. That's about it.
He just read off like a modern version of the stereotypes.
Yep.
I skimmed the book and then I'm just summing them up now.
Yeah.
What's important that you understand is you are an individual first. You might have been vetted by whoever sired you, so you might have had some idea about what was going on, and then you also might have just been picked up off the street. That's up to you. But before you were a clan member, you were a person with your own specific personality and tastes and whatnot. So you can play a Toreador who's super, super into art, or you can play a Toreador who hates that shit and doesn't really want anything to do with his clan, but you don't have a choice because you got picked up off the street and some cunt sucked your blood.
You were a bodybuilder, an amazing alt-right fascist, and some fucking Toreador thought you were beautiful and turned you into the undead because reasons.
Okay.
Stereotypes exist, and there's some truth to them, but you don't have to adhere to it perfectly.
I was interested in reading how the clans view each other and their stereotypes.
Yeah, literally every single one has a little like sidebar that says stereotypes and then all the other clans, so
Yeah.
very helpful. The writers are very good.
Of the 5 clans I'm letting you choose from, there's 2 high clans and 3 low clans, which is in the Camarilla. It's basically the high clans. Think of them like as the aristocracy. They think that they deserve to be in power because they are them. And then the low clans either want almost nothing to do with that, or their curse is it flies in the face of that, like Nosferatu. They can't be figureheads. They're too fucking disgusting.
Yeah, I get the gist of the 5 ones that you listed here.
Man, you know more about the Camarilla than I do. I didn't even think about a divide between the clans. I'm too invested in the Sabbat.
Yeah.
It
High
didn't
clans
even,
and low clans.
like, it didn't even say anything about a split, but I just assumed that Ventru and Toreador were the upper classes, and then these other ones kind of fuck around in the slums.
And the Tremere. It's Ventru, Toreador, and Tremere are high clans. Gangrel, Bruja, Nosferatu, and Malkavian are low clans. And then there's shit like anti-tribu, which means anti-clan, and that's just any clan that's not one of those 7. But that's kind of difficult to work into a game, especially for what I have, so don't worry about anti-clan.
Then,
or traitors.
probably not a good choice to start with.
Well, it's a role-playing game, so like I said, you're going to be told this is your task. Given a task, it's up to you to decide: do I want to complete this task and become a neonate in the Camarilla and play politics, or do I really hate these cunts and want to sabotage it, or something in between? It's up to you.
Become a skin dancer. Do that in one session.
I don't think I have enough werewolf sheets for that to be possible.
Realistically, all you need is 3 XP plus 20. You just need 23 XP and you need to go hunt down Sam Haight or one of his descendants.
Good luck.
Depend. That's how I would speedrun that game.
Yeah, like I said, I hate Vampire. I really, really hate Vampire, but I know how to run Vampire. And if you guys enjoy the Vampire game I run, then we have like what's essentially a mage game going on, and you could probably jump into that. Vampire is good to give you a taste of the setting and to inform you how the rules work.
Yeah, I can. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, TM said that most of the Shadowrun stuff he's done has been rolling dice and then making decisions on what feels fair.
It's fucking autism.
Which, I mean, if you guys are having fun, then good for you. But it's good to have an idea of how actual rules work, especially if you were to get into that mage game where shit gets really stupid really fast, so you need to know exactly what you're capable of and what you aren't.
Mage, as I was skimming the book, seems like peak schizo writing to the point. Like here I type walls of text about things that should hypothetically be done in the world, and then like taken by the muse start channeling my own schizophrenia, and then I find out that there's like a parallel in the mage book, and then I pull it up.
Yeah. The setting is big. There's all kinds of shit in it.
Mage is for schizophrenics by schizophrenic.
What are you even doing if you don't even have at least entry-level schizophrenia?
I don't know. I've never seen people actually play it. At least mage proper.
I mean, so like I know that I said that people should grab people off the streets and dose them with psychoactives to throw them through trials and awaken their minds and turn them into operatives. And then apparently in Mage, that's what they do.
That's literally the cult of ecstasy, except the cult of ecstasy also rapes them.
Isn't there one that TM was telling me about? Another one though, like
yeah, what's the technocracy equivalent?
Yeah,
Iteration X.
that's fairly standard for all of the conventions. Most notably the NWO and probably the progenitors, but I don't know how the progenitors fuck around. Should read their book. I bet it's fun.
Would be useful to play as the niggers of the collective setting before you get into the crazier mage parts.
Like that's one of the things with mage is, given the right stats, which you can absolutely get at character creation, you can do almost anything you can imagine, and it's kind of overwhelming. Where vampire is really restrained. Like, really fucking restrained.
It's damned a tier of, here are your rules, this is what you can do.
Yeah. And, like, even, like, meta-wise, mages want people to know they exist because they want everyone to be mages. They just can't. So a lot of the story or game would be trying to break paradigm. Vampires are actively hiding their existence, so you don't have to deal with how do I get people to accept this entire reality shift. You deal with how do I get blood and do what I'm told, or chase my own political goals.
Yeah, you have your basic RPG stuff in a very more linear, straightforward setting than your specific classes of abilities and blood magic.
Yeah, I mean, Vampire, and I assume every other game, does get really convoluted and vast. But like that's sort of the point of what I have is I wrote this a long time ago, and it's basically a tutorial.
Did Winnie make a character, or did you just basically
I haven't
tell
even
him
spoken to him. No, I haven't spoken to him.
There's another. He's not insane like some other people, but he's interested in tabletop.
Yeah, it's not hard to make a character. I mean, if you don't have a lot of experience, pretty much everyone I know does this. Your first character can just be a self-insert, and all you got to worry about is what clan do I want because that superpower looks cool. And then from there, it's pretty easy to just fill out the sheet, and then you're done. Like you can do it in under an hour.
Yeah, we didn't. We had a pretty loose Shadowrun couple of games, but I did use an actual character sheet. I started with a self-insert, and then my second character was a racist, badass, truck driving redneck.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
don't know. Isn't Shadowrun just D&D modernized, right?
more or
There's
less.
more to the
rather.
setting to that, but like
I mean,
it does use the fantasy races.
It uses like almost same rules, doesn't it?
No, it uses way different rules than Danda.
Ah, okay.
It also uses a pool system, but if these guys haven't been playing it, then that doesn't really matter.
TM has a
It's
real
pools.
problem with actual rules.
You could have just dead stopped there. TM has some real problems.
It's true. But World of Darkness, its entire rule set is called the Storyteller system. So, like, by design, it's pretty loose with what exactly you can do, but there's enough there that you're gonna know, like, say you get celerity as a discipline, you use it, you know I have two actions this turn instead of one. Whereas something like you did mage and you're using time magic, I don't even know how to begin to calculate how many extra actions you get like per success.
Yeah,
It's
that's
dependent on your time spheres.
Yes, but at character creation you can have anywhere from 0 to 5 spheres.
No, you can only have up to 3 because I mean,
That's
it's a soft
recommended.
rule, just like
Yeah.
but it's for pretty much everyone. But yeah, I mean, like you don't start as a master. You don't awaken with 5 Arate. Arit. Enlightenment. The Great Enlightenment.
If you want to make a character, I can walk you through the basics of what you need. It's not complicated.
Should I download Acrobat or something and be able to edit this PDF?
I used Adobe Acrobat. If you have internet, or not internet, Windows 10, they're fucking that shitty Internet Edge thing lets you edit as well.
Nah, I'm on a booted free copy of 7.
Yeah, find something that lets you edit that sheet because that is the editable version of it.
'Tis good shit.
Like I said, all you got to do is so it's really clear. You will never use this character again after one game, so it's not a huge investment. You just pick whichever clan you like.
Right.
I have no intention of running. My first long form game was the game that I'm going to run for you, and that spiraled into like a 15-20 game long thing. I'm never doing that again.
We was. Eat us that fetus.
Eat us that fetus.
Trying to download Acrobat Reader.
The Acrobat.
For doing this, I can just tell you what pages to jump to for reference. So if you want to watch. Oh no, page 103. That's just character creation process. And that lays out basically what you need to do in one page. Or 2 pages, rather.
Acrobat Reader is raping my computer while I'm trying to install it.
Yeah.
Adobe shit is garbage.
If you want to fucking print it out, feel free to do a physical sheet.
Having a printer.
I don't really care how you keep track of your sheet, because I don't really need it.
I mean,
The only thing you'd like, you can do it in fucking Microsoft Paint and take screen caps for all I care, because you're not going to edit your sheet. It's not going to be a consistent character.
I mean, we could theoretically. I mean, I could just use MS Paint.
I've done it.
Dirty fucking subhuman.
I just hate doing it that way, but that seems like that's what needs to happen.
TM's done it. Where's TM's like talk to demons sheet? It needs to be in resources in the server.
I know it's pinned somewhere.
Let's see if I can find it.
Oh. Where was that character sheet at? There it is. Surprised I'm allowed to participate in anything despite being a worm nigger or something.
Oh, if only you knew.
That rabbit hole goes deep and wide.
Look, everyone needs to go through hell itself. Through a 3-letter psychoactive. It's the only way.
The corrupting deadly.
I just gonna have to take 2 screenshots of this PDF?
Let me look at the sheet and see what's super important. Merits and flaws are optional. I usually skip them for this kind of thing because it gives a lot of like complexity to your character, but you don't. This is tutorial mode.
Oh, dude, do merits and flaws. Give him permanent wound.
Yeah. Really, just the first screen. The name, player, all that, attributes, abilities, advantages, and then like your humanity, health boxes, stuff like that, blood pool. That first page is all I would need to check to make sure you did everything right. You could keep track of pretty much everything else in like a text file. And that would just be keeping track for yourself. I trust you to not cheat.
Yeah.
Don't make me regret that.
Nah, I like operating within rules.
Oh, dude, it'll be like every other fucking house game where you get 14 successes. Bruh.
Are you talking about your own rolls, Christian? Didn't you get like multiple successes on like a difficulty 15 thing?
I know that's happened before. I'm pretty sure that happened to everybody in the 4th generation because like people couldn't solve the power creep issue, so they just like forced into a lot of games people to do absolutely batshit insane absurd shit, and just like either that or people willingly did it. In my case, I usually willingly did it because David is a fucking jackass, and so they would just be like, oh well, I'm just gonna fucking kill you then with a difficulty whatever. They just kept going higher, like 10. I remember it's at one point, like for a couple month period, there was not one roll that was underneath difficulty 10 because people were just like so sick of people succeeding at everything. And then once people figured out how to get the difficulty higher with the threshold system, then they just kept stacking it higher and higher and higher until it was like difficulty 15. But of course, with every fix by GMs, the players will get more creative, and that's with difficulty reduction, and that's with re-rolling and all that other gay shit. So it was a problem that was not easily solved, and that's why a lot of people are basically harbingers now. I mean, they were back then, but it was not irregular to have above 10 successes in like a 10 or not 10 but like a 15 gift plus game. People would just biz casually be like, yeah, well, whatever, I get like 12 successes because skill mastery is really good, and then you can go even further with that with other like difficulty reducers and shit and other shit. So
Yeah.
you could have a pool of like 16 dice and then
To soak.
No, I think that was only me. I think I had the highest soak. Ironically, considering my Remembrancer's character, Takeo Takeshi, was a psychopathic commando who wanted to get enough protection to stop the fucking PTSD, but obviously that doesn't work. So he just kept on getting more armor and getting more armor and getting more armor and pricking out his battle suit until he was a fucking Tau crisis suit. But I think in the end I had more soak, or at least more like soak dice. My armor wasn't that great. It was only like 5 dice. I think he had like 9.
Yeah, I have his gift sheet somewhere.
Oh yeah, that's right. The fucking revision shit. Yeah. is not hard.
Dag, if you if you're ready, I can start whenever.
I've been downloading Acrobat
Okay.
Reader because it seems like they'll be the better thing to do with these, the way these numbers are.
That's fine. I'm in no rush. I'm getting very drunk tonight. I haven't even started.
Alright, this is a new program I don't know how to use. Oh, wait a
You
minute.
generally just open up some fucking PDF and then you can just click with it if it's
Wait,
Acrobat is the
Are
one I use.
these zeros or are these punch holes on the character
They're
sheet?
dots.
Dots.
So I'm supposed. So it's just 1 to 5. I just punch in these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much everything is measured 1 to 5.
How accurate is
So
the video game of this?
Everything I give you needs the qualifier. There's more to it than that, but essentially, yeah, 1 to 5.
Is the video
Well,
game
starting at
faithful to
3.
this? Bloodlines.
Yeah, it is actually. They actually use the. I mean, it's not the same character sheet. They really simplify it by like stripping out most of the skills and stuff. But it's pretty much exactly what it is. XP and everything. Like it's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
No,
Bloodlines is
they are kind of excessive with the XP because there's no way you would get to like .5 in a discipline by like a month or whatever, however long the game allegedly takes, because it's seamless transition from night to night.
They within hours go from slums to opening a sarcophagus.
Didn't you listen? Don't fucking open it.
Yeah, that game is what inspired me to start running period, and I just happened to run Vampire first because of that game.
I haven't been exposed to that game in a while. I regret not replaying it recently.
It's a good game. It's really good. I'm pretty sure that the devs worked with people from White Wolf to make it like accurate. Like the setting, the lore is all consistent.
Like, yeah, they had a really big devotion to making it like the tabletop game.
Yeah.
Were they also a bunch of schizos who happen to have technical knowledge?
No, they're just cunts who really like RPGs. They're the guys who did Fallout 1 and 2, Fallout New Vegas.
Oh,
They just
wait, they
fucking
did, what was that? Arcanum?
I don't know what that is.
Arcanum Steamworks.
Star Wars shit as well.
It's some other RPG that looks like Fallout 1 and 2 with autistic levels of overthinking the setting when they were making it.
They had the benefit of Vampire being like a decade old when they made the game. There's a lot of setting there.
Yeah, I am looking at the character sheet, so I have no idea what my limits are.
Essentially, what you're going to be doing is there should be numbers on the character creation thing in the book. It's what is it? 753, and then 1395.
Which page
Yeah.
is
So
that
basically, you have that many points to put in each of the columns, separated between abilities and attributes. 753 is going to go in the top bits. Those are basically like your characteristics in Danda, like the basic stuff that's going to affect everything else, and then the bottom part is your skills.
Like every roll you make, say you're trying to pick a lock, it's always an attribute plus an ability. So
Right.
say you're, like I said, trying to pick a lock, I would say roll dexterity plus stealth.
Yeah,
So you would
modifier
take
stuff.
the attribute dex and the ability stealth, add them up. However many dots you have total between those two is your dice pool. You roll all those at once. They're always d10s, and I assign a difficulty number. And for every dice that is at or above that number, you get a success.
Your basic modifier stuff.
Yeah. And you just prioritize, say, attributes. They're divided: physical, social, mental. You pick which one you're best at, which you're worst at in the middle, and then the best gets 7 more dots, middle gets 5, least gets 3. Attributes all start with 1. Abilities, you do the same thing between talent, skills, knowledges, but it's 13, 9, 5. These all start with 0, and at first you can't raise any of them above 3.
You can later in character creation if you want to be a master of something.
Yeah, that's like if you want to be really good with security, just raise it to 3, and then just make a little note to yourself, like I want to raise that to 5. And at the very end of character creation, you can do that.
So my freebie points, these are my limits for what I...
Freebie points are they're the things you do at the very end. You get 15 of them, and there's a price cost attached to each stat increase, and you just pay freebie points out and increase your stats until you're at 0 freebie points.
You also buy merits or backgrounds.
Yeah, well, backgrounds is listed there. It's a 1-for-1, which is ridiculous, kind of.
It's the best expenditure of freebie points. I mean, merits are also good, but
yeah, flaws and merits make that more complex. If you're the kind of guy who really gets into complex character creation, you can do flaws and merits, but I wouldn't recommend it if you want to just do easy mode, which is what this is intended to be.
So
I recommend it because Kyler's a bitch.
Fuck yourself with a rake.
No, I put the rake back. That's for tomorrow.
So I start off putting 5 into any of the attributes, and then 2...
3. It's 7, 5, 3. I'm 9, 5. So say you pick physical as your best attribute, like block. That's strength, dex, and stamina. They start at 1, you get 7 more, and you divide that up however you want. So at the end, you end up with a total of 10 dots in physical. And then your middling, which will be mental or social, would end up with you get 5 more, which is a total of 8. Then your worst has 3 more, so a total of 6.
For reference, the normal level for a normal person to be at, like completely average, is 2 dots. So like 2 dots in intelligence is 100 IQ. And the same with all the rest.
If you want me to explain what any individual attribute or ability does, just ask.
Yeah, I have the gist of what they probably do. Like, these RPGs just use interchangeable terminology for basically the same stuff.
Note, the book, I'm pretty sure, describes appearance as just being pretty, but I like the substitution we came up with, which is the higher your appearance, the better you are at making yourself look like what you want. So, like, if you want to look like a fucking hobo, you can just improvise that with like 3 dots of appearance. You could roll it and make yourself look like a hobo. So, whereas, like, if you have 1 dot of appearance, you are not very versatile. And probably ugly, but
Well, people who don't know how to manipulate their appearance to get other things probably don't take very good care of themselves because they don't notice how to change their appearance for the benefit.
It's definitely easier with Chummer for Shadowrun. It just tells you how many points you have to spend.
It's not complex. Once you do it like once, you'll have it down.
Just like everything else.
It's just they're columns, and you just prioritize columns. You have X points to spend per column.
So how many on attributes?
7, 5, 3. You what your character is? He smart, like good at social manipulation, or is he physically strong? What's his strong point? What's he best at?
Well, in my experience, charismatic characters do not play out too well.
Okay, so not social. So is he physically strong, or is he like smart?
Let's go with smart.
Okay, so then we'll make mental your strong point. That's perception, intelligence, and wits. They have 1 dot each to begin with. You have 7 more dots to add to any of those 3 stats. You can divide it up however you want. You can have like 5 wits and then put like 1 or 2 in perception and intelligence. Or you could, do like erase all 3 to 3 and then put wits, intelligence, or one of them up to 4.
I guess I'll go with I guess I'll just guess what these mean.
Perception is going to be useful for vampires to hunt. That's the thing that you're going to be rolling to just look for dudes to suck blood off of. Intelligence is going to be used with all the knowledges and other shit, or just anything in general thinky. Wits is it's good for being quick on your feet, but the most notable place is that it affects initiative. So if you want to have high initiative, then that's mainly what it's good for.
Your ability to react to things.
Yeah.
If at any point in the game you feel stuck and you don't know what to do, you don't know what's going on, you can ask me, like, can my character figure out this, whatever it is? And say you have a real high intelligence, you're in a low stress environment, you can sit down and think about it, then it'll be like intelligence plus, say, what's a good example? Politics, intelligence plus politics, and figure out what's going on. But if you're in a high stress environment, a guy's got a gun to your head, he's screaming at you, and you need to come up with a plan quick, and you as a player just can't come up with one, I will let you do something like roll wits plus, like, streetwise.
We pretty much did that. We rolled for intuition in Shadowrun.
Yeah, not every GM does that. I am intentionally more lenient with it in this vampire game on purpose because it's supposed to be a tutorial.
Well, it does make sense. Like, if you're playing as a character who's smarter than you are, I mean,
Yeah.
surely he can
Absolutely.
figure things out that you can't.
Yeah, you can play a 5 intelligence character. I don't expect you to have 5 intelligence IRL.
Okay, so talents, skills, and knowledges.
No, you were still at attributes. Once you finish with your mental,
Oh,
then you pick what's your second best, physical or social.
we'll do physical.
So that's strength, dex, and stamina starts at 1, but this time you get 5 additional dots.
Does manipulation involve any like illusion spells in the social thing?
Sometimes, yeah, but I don't know of off the top of my head any disciplines you could take that would require it.
Obfuscate does it.
Oh, yeah. So there's obfuscate.
So if you want to be an ugly ass Nosferatu nigger, then absolutely manipulation is useful, but otherwise it's just social manipulation. But don't discount social bullshit in the World of Darkness, because it's supposed to be like 70 to 80% just like intrigue and
Right.
shit like that, and then like 20% murder rape. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
as opposed to shit like Danda, which is like 90%, rape and murder.
Murder hobos.
And like I said repeatedly, I've run this game probably around 30 times by this point. I have had people go through it without a single fight, using nothing but mental or social abilities. And then I've had people that just turn it into a fucking murder fest. Both work, both are possible. There's no mandatory combat. That said, combat can happen if you fuck up. And plus, social can be used for stuff like, social understanding. Someone's giving you some nonverbal clue that, say, they don't want to talk about this right now. I would maybe have you roll charisma and empathy to figure that one out, as opposed to intelligence or something.
Oh, the discipline of presence also uses charisma, so that's a thing to keep in mind.
What does domination use, or dominate? I think it's probably
I think first out you don't even have to roll for.
I'm pretty sure you
But
do. It's just one word command, but it's simple. It's just like the difficulty of their willpower.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, I know dominate uses manipulation and intimidation for one of the roles, but the other ones I don't know.
And once you put your 5 dots, adding to a total of 8 into physical, you have social left, and you get 3 more. So it'll end up with a total of 6.
So 7 in my main stat, 5 in my secondary attribute, and 3 in the last attribute set.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Correct.
I guess putting a 3 in, I put a 1 charisma, 3 in manipulation, 1 in appearance, and then I just put 1 in each on physical. And then 13. I'm guessing it's the same rules for. I gotta pick.
Hold on. What are your physical stats? Oh, just tell me them real quick.
1, 1, 1.
So they're 2, 2, 2?
If you put 1. So wait, if you don't have a dot, that's a 1?
No, your attributes start with 1. So and then you get additional dots on top. So your mental
you
starts with
a dot.
Yeah, so it'll add up to a total of like 10, 8, and 6. But they all start at 0, or at 1, rather. Side note, if you plan on playing a Nosferatu, your appearance is automatically 0, and you cannot raise that, period.
Yeah, I read that part. Of the 5, let me see. Toreador. What was their disciplines?
Toreador has celerity, auspex, and presence.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Man, what's auspex? Is that just?
It's supernaturally good perception. at lower levels, it's just like a standard perception roll is made easier. At higher levels, you get stuff like if someone lies to you, you instantly know it, or you can like sense people's auras, stuff like that.
Aura detection is useful for many things.
So they Malkavians have something called the Call. They can summon a clan gathering.
Yeah, Malkavians they're an interesting clan, but they're hard to do right.
Yeah, I just know about them because they talk to stop signs.
No, you stop.
I like the psychic assault, so I'm guessing if you're intelligence and social, you can have psychic, psychological bullshit. Illusion.
Yeah, Malkavians have a discipline called dementation, which is literally just driving people crazy by looking at them.
Can you do that in the game?
There's like a scale of it. Like one of their abilities is to make people have specific types of nightmares. And if you roll really well, they just have these nightmares every night for like 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, my attributes are in physical 2, 2, 2, in social 2, 4, 2, and then in mental 2, 3, 5.
Okay, yeah, you did that right. Okay. And then next you move on to abilities, which are talents, skills, and knowledges. These ones do start at 0. They're divided into 1395. Talents are things everyone innately has on some level. Skills are learned abilities. So you can make rolls mostly with if you want to dodge something, right? You don't have any dots in dodge, then you're just rolling your dexterity. But skills are learned abilities. So say you want to shoot someone, but you don't have any training with firearms, so you have 0 dots in firearms, you roll just dexterity, but it's a +2 difficulty because you've never practiced this.
Right.
And knowledges, if you want to do something with knowledges and you have no dots in that knowledge, you automatically fail. So it comes down to, did your character spend a lot of time honing his skills, or a lot of time reading books, or is he just like naturally gifted? And you can't raise any of these above 3 right now. Your best gets 13, middle gets 9, and your worst gets 5 dots.
Is that for these categories or for the like 3 of the categories? Like
The 3 of them: talents, skills, and knowledges. The 3 columns. Your best gets 13. So if you are,
I pick a column that I excel in.
yeah,
Okay.
the same as attributes.
All right. And then I get 13, so let's go with probably knowledges, then talents and skills.
Yeah, then you'd put 13 into knowledges, 9 into talents, and 5 into skills. You can hyper specialize if you like. You can be very spread out. It's all up to you.
I don't know if Winnie is gonna I mean, I'm sure he would if you asked, but are you gonna spend this much time briefing him too?
I can.
Because, like, be prepared for, like, me and him, be prepared for a lot of, like, hand holding.
That's what this is for. I have run this game. Once I ran this game for a Russian guy, and he would say a sentence, and I would understand maybe like one word out of it. I struggled through that. I did an entire game. I have no problem holding your hand.
Do I save points for later because I can't go over 3, or
No,
am I
you
supposed to
spend them all.
Okay.
You have to spend them all now.
Alright, so
You get to buy more points later, but we'll do that when you get to it.
Yeah, I'll make his fucking self-insert. That's how it always works.
That's fine.
I'll make a idealized self-insert.
Yep. That's what a lot of people do, and it works. Just imagine what you would do if you got plucked off the street and suddenly vampires are real and this shit starts happening. Plays itself.
Well, my time in the LSD hell dimension has made me a little interested in psychology and whatnot, so it's gonna probably revolve around that.
Dump a bunch of dots into like medicine and science.
I mean, I don't know shit about medicine. I was gonna go with like occult and politics.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I'm joking.
Obviously,
Oh,
computer.
yeah. If you have no dots in computer, you don't know how to Google. But linguistics, by default, you speak English.
You,
You get
you
another
could
dot.
you could probably Google, but you'd be one of those people that asks it a question.
Yeah. With one dot in linguistics, you speak an additional language, and then I think it just doubles. Like 2 dots is you speak additional 2, so a total of English plus the 1 from dot 1, and then 2 more, so 4 languages, and then you get 4 more at dot 3, and then like 8. It gets ridiculous. But you don't need to buy linguistics to speak English.
What's expression?
It's how eloquent you are in speaking and like getting your ideas out.
Yeah. So you want to communicate to someone exactly what you want, but you as a player can't think of a way to say it. So you abstract it and tell me, I tell him this. I would have you roll something like charisma or manipulation, depending, plus expression. And if you rolled well, then we just abstract it and go, okay, you tell him that in an appropriate manner and he finds it convincing.
Looks like I'm a charismatic genius, just like in real life.
Epic for the win.
Oh, and drive. For the most part, driving from point A to point B is sort of like a free thing. You just do it. But if you get like in a car chase or you want to do some fancy stunt, something like that, then you have to roll for drive.
What's performance?
Also, probably have to roll for drive if traffic gets stupid.
Performance is like dance, like it can also be speeches. It can
I'll
be
give you the
stuff.
perfect example. It is literally performing. It's putting on a show. I had a player who had 5 performance, and in the first game, he hijacked someone's microphone and put on a rap concert. It's showmanship.
Honestly, the best thing to do, especially for like a one-off, is to get your 5 dots in something and then just wave your dick around with it.
Its time will come, probably.
If you're playing Toreador, I think they use performance for some of their disciplines. Because, like, presence, one of the early abilities with presence is anyone who's looking at your face just finds, like, everything you say really convincing. So it's about getting people to look at you and getting the crowd on your side. So it's essentially putting on a performance.
Do I have to, like, vocally roleplay this out?
No, we can abstract it. That's fine. I didn't make that player actually rap at me for an hour.
Why not?
Because that's a living nightmare.
You should roleplay, however. Speak as your character. Do not be a bitch. This isn't a video game.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with role playing. If you decide you want to give a TED talk, I'll let you.
On paradigm shifts.
We're just gonna kill him.
He's been enjoying TED Talk so far.
Being a little bit high on the sound of my voice, I'm a good public speaker, I know.
Has a good timbre.
Nice timbre to it. What inspires you? What inspires me is using maglev trains.
To the moon.
I've had them play a very visual novel style of game.
What an amazing way to put it.
I intended for the next session to have the caveat that they should know when to do their own roles and what to role play and so on.
It's time to get crunchier than your autism.
Yeah. In general, it's not. The one thing I draw the line at is I will not ERP with you. But in general, the more you roleplay, the better. That's sort of the point. But I'm pretty lenient with it because, like I said, this is a tutorial. I've run this for stuttering NEETs who haven't used their voice in 5 years.
Man, Kyler running around stealing everyone's V card.
Yeah.
Big Mama. Popping tabletop cherries. Stomping them like he was Bigfoot.
Yeah, looking at these disciplines, I already feel like when you first start playing I and you just see all that gibberish in place of stats, you have no idea what any of it does.
What clan do you want to play as?
I'm assuming Toreador is the Spurg, but charismatic, like intellectual, social.
So anyone can be that. That's a stereotype, but any clan can do that.
There are two kinds of Toreadors.
Don't tell him about the Warrior. Don't.
The
Okay.
warrior.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Hulk smash.
But yeah, I'll walk you through disciplines when you get to it. For now, just get your knowledges, skills, and talents is all sorted.
Yeah, I did that
Having
stuff.
having seen your videos, I think you'd be best as a gangrel.
The Kaczynskiite vampires.
Ugh. They're also the second most psychopathic clan.
What's the most, Zenitsu?
Fucking Malkavians.
Oh, technically psychopathic. Got it.
Why do I come off as psychopathic even when I'm going into detail about all the the thousands of subversive groups peddling their sexualities as a form of enlightenment?
No, but the amount of videos you have outdoors and secluded areas makes me think that this could absolutely just be a Malkavian sighting. No, Malkavian. Gangrel. Got him. I need to put this stuff in here.
Unflop your microphone, Christian.
So you smothering it with a pillow.
Fucking, that's good because it was under my pillow. I live in a box. Cage the elephant.
Yeah, I'm on disciplines. No idea what any of this shit is.
Okay. I'll walk you through them. You start your disciplines all start at 0.
Oh wait, we didn't pick a clan. That's what we got hung up on.
Yeah, are you doing Toreador or Gangrel or something else?
This is the big impasse that I was having. Which
Okay,
clan?
I will give you. Let me pull up some resources.
What's just the mental social ones? Like Toreador is one of the big ones. The other ones, the lower class clans seem like they're more brute force.
So, a Toreador finds things beautiful, whether you like it or not. So occasionally you may go into a trance because a cigarette butt on the ground looks nice. And you have to make a roll to get out of that. If you fail the roll, you remain in that trance, and it can last theoretically forever. Vampires have died because they found the sunrise pretty. Gangrels get a thing called beast marks whenever they frenzy, which is like vampires are not human. There's a monster inside them that wants to rip and tear and drink blood. And when that monster comes out, you lose control of your character. I take control of them, and you are frenzied. And whenever a gangrel frenzies, they get a beast mark. So you will start with 1 beast mark because you always frenzy when you first get sired. Beast marks are just like animalistic traits applied to you. So you might have the eyes of a bat. You might get like floppy dog ears. Your eyes might glow like a cat's eyes. You might grow factual whiskers like a cat, something like that. Every time you frenzy, you get a new one. A good way to think of it is like after a gangrel frenzies 50 or 100 times, they're effectively an animal now. Those are curses.
They literally like turn into a cat eventually.
Or a wolf.
They do not literally turn into a cat. They just they are whatever men. They are wolf men. They are fucking even just beast men because they can mix and match. It's not necessarily you have a bunch of bat shit, and so you'll just always get a bunch of bat shit. You can have fucking dog fur and whiskers and fucking bat ears and fucking mixtures to make some fucking horrible abomination.
Yeah. Gangrel's disciplines, they have animalism, which is stuff like calling animals to you and giving them commands. Like you're dealing with animals, so their brains don't work exactly the same, but you could summon a horde of rats and then get them to crawl through a wall and spy on someone for you. Stuff like that. And then they have... What the fuck's a Greek gangrel? Go away. Animalism, they have fortitude, which is whenever you take damage, you roll soak to see how much of it you negate. Fortitude is the one that there's 3 types of damage, the worst being aggravated, which is stuff like sunlight or fire. Fortitude will let you soak that. So if you get caught on fire, and you have 2 dots of fortitude, you roll 2d10 at whatever difficulty, and if you pass, you negate 2 dots of damage, or 1, depending on how many successes. It's always active, though. It's just you're physically more resilient. And then they have Protean, which is like shape-shifting, kind of. Dot 1, you get Eyes of the Beast, which when you activate this, you turn it on and off. Your eyes will glow red, but you see perfectly in the dark.
Night vision for free.
Dot 2, you get Feral Claws, which a good way to picture it is your hands turn into the hands of a fucking werewolf. These do aggravated damage. They're extremely lethal. And you do turn that on and off. Dot 3, you get Earth Meld, which lets you sink into the dirt and just like become one with it. It's a good way to hide. The sun's coming up and you don't have any shelter around. That's a good way to avoid the sun. If you know what you're doing, you can set like ambushes with it, stuff like that.
It's also how those subhumans live in the forest and don't fucking get wrecked by the sun.
Yeah. And then, if those 3 sound appealing to you, play as a gangrel. Toreador's disciplines now are celerity, which you activate this mostly in combat. It can be used out of combat. It's super speed. The way it works is, say you have 2 dots of celerity. At the beginning of your turn, you declare that you're going to use that. You spend a point of blood, you get your standard action, and then you get 2 extra actions. You get 3 total. If you have 1 dot of celerity, though, then you get 1. It's just for every point of blood you spend, which is usually 1, you get however many points of celerity you get in extra actions. So it's super speed. Auspex, which I'm just giving you the first 3 dots because that's almost as high as you can get them at the beginning. Dot 1 of Auspex, you declare that you're activating it, and it raises it basically just if you have 3 dots of Auspex and you declare that you're activating dot 1 and you have a difficulty 6 perception roll, it becomes difficulty 3. You subtract your Auspex from the difficulty for perception rolls. Dot 2, you can get either an ear for lies, which is someone intentionally lying to you. You immediately pick up on it and you know that they're lying. Or you can get aura perception, which lets you see auras. Different supernaturals have different kinds of auras. If you roll well, you can sense their mood or even intent. Dot 3, you can get whichever one of the dot 2 powers you didn't pick, or you could get artist's intent, spirit's touch, or spirit ties. I'd have to look into those. I've never used them. And then they also have presence. Let me look and see what that does. Presence is pretty good. Dot 1 is awe, which you make a roll. People have to see your face. So if someone's got their back turned to you, this doesn't work. But if they're looking at your face, they're more inclined to agree with you just because you're you. They're in awe of you. Dot 2 is dread gaze, which is like you bare your fangs and like hiss or something. There's a roll involved. If you roll well, if you fail, nothing happens. If you barely pass, they're essentially like stunned for a moment. Good for combat or, I don't know, putting a bag over someone's head and abducting them. If you roll really well, they will turn around and run in terror because they've seen the monster that you actually are. Dot 3, I'd have to look and see exactly what it does. It says entrancement, which it's basically making someone fall in love with you. So there's 6 disciplines among 2 different clans. Whichever set of 3 sounds more appealing, that'll be your clan. You want to be a feral cunt who has werewolf claws and seeps into the ground and talks to rats and birds, then do gangrel. If you want to have a better social standing and be able to manipulate people and sense people's intentions better, then go Toreador.
I'm a bit turned away by the prospect of I would have to be like verbally talking a lot more for the first session, whereas a physical person just kills people.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the game is completable either way. You can murder your problems or talk to your problems. Both work. It's up to your preference. And like I said, for talking, if you're not comfortable or able to role play it out, I'm fine with letting you abstract. So you're trying to get into a club and a bouncer wants your ID, you forgot your ID, you're underage, or you just don't want to fucking bother. You can say like, I just want to, sit around for a minute and talk to him about the goddamn weather or something and get him to like me enough that he lets me in, and I would just let you roll your stats for whatever awe.1 of presence is, and as long as he's looking at you and you roll well enough, I'll just abstract it away and go, okay, you talk to him for 5 minutes and he lets you in.
Yeah, I'd roleplay every aspect of that if the storyteller had to roleplay a thug, big black guy talking in inappropriate ebonics.
I've never gone too far into ebonics. I'm also not very good at voices, though I don't really try, and I should. But I switch between abstraction and outright roleplay, depending. A lot of the times I'll do both, where like I'll abstract it because I'm trying to reply very quickly, and then the player will be like thinking for a second, and then I'll get actual dialogue in my head and say word for word what the character says to you.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Just choose the clan you like.
I knew
If you're-
this would be a problem, trying to figure out which clan.
If you need more time to sit on it, we can do backgrounds and whatnot first.
It's like I don't need to know their history. Like, I get the gist of what they are and what their history probably is from what I skimmed. It's just I don't really remember all their disciplines or.
You don't what?
I don't really remember like all their disciplines. I mean, maybe I should just.
Here's a
Maybe I should
here's
do
a
like
trick.
a Nosferatu, like physical kind of person
You
as a
could-
trial run. If it's a
If you
tutorial,
want.
then
Yeah, there's no wrong answer. A trick for you. If you have problems, like there's too many abilities, you don't know what you can do. Pick one discipline. Like if you do gangrel, just get all 3 dots because you only have 3 to start. In Protean, then you just have night vision, feral claws, and you can like dive into the earth. And that's all you have to remember. The other 2 disciplines, you don't even have dots in them. You can't use them. Or if you want to be an absolute fag, you can go Toreador, put all 3 dots in celerity, and then in combat, you can just once per turn get 3 extra actions. So you act 4 times, and then the opponent acts once, and repeat.
that doesn't sound broken at all.
There's a reason vampires are feared killing machines in mythology.
Yeah.
But also giant faggots in mythology too.
Yep. And you can use celerity out of combat. I've had players use it for shit like... I've had them steal cop cars on the highway using celerity while they're moving.
Gotta
Celerity-
go fast.
Celerity sounds ridiculously fucking broken that I kind of want to use it.
If you put 3 dots in
Extra action's
celerity,
always broken.
then you will be broken to a degree. However, you also suck dicks.
Well, that's the price you pay.
Do what you like.
You can move fast at the speed of light, but you also suck dicks at the speed of light.
The price of moving the speed of light is that you have to live in the darkness.
It's that you give every dick you suck an Indian burn.
Indian.
Does celerity start with like an S? Because it's not. I don't think it's
C.
in here.
See,
Oh.
I'll spell it because it is fucked. Celerity.
Conspiracy.
Oh wait, celer. It sounds like it starts off like the word solar, but it's like celery.
Yeah, everybody makes that one.
Put straight 3 in that. Just say celery.
So, at the top of your character sheet, under clan, just write Toreador.
Yep.
And that's your 3 dots of disciplines. So we can move on.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast.
Back to the right page. So you did your disciplines. Next you do... We'll do backgrounds last. Cues first. That is your conscience / conviction, self-control / and courage. You don't actually use conviction or instinct. You just use conscience, self-control, and courage. It's on the right. They all start at 1. You get 7 more dots to distribute, so you'll have a grand total of 10. Conscience is if you do something monstrous, you kill someone unprovoked. You roll your conscience, and if you pass, you feel remorse, and you maintain that bit of humanity you have in you. If you fail, you don't feel bad at all, and you lose a little bit of humanity. There's a lot to the way that works, but it's not too important for this game. Self-control, if someone, is socially like berating you or physically attacking you, you roll self-control and see if you get extremely angry and try to rip their throat out, or if they're like coming at you with something fire-based especially, you might go into the opposite of frenzy, which is Track, I think, something like that.
Fire bad.
And instead of trying to rip their throat out, you run like an animal and try to get away. But if you pass yourself, you maintain control of your character and do whatever you want. Oh no, self-control is for frenzy, and then courage is for Track. So spend your 7 however you like.
All right.
It should be noted that those decisions affect other things. Your humanity is your conscience plus self-control, and your willpower is equal to your courage.
Yeah.
Willpower is important because that's the difficulty that other people have to roll at to make you suck their dick. Like with supernatural powers.
Yeah.
So you have to suck their dick, which Kyler will do because he puts that in every game.
Is this a common problem in these games?
Only in this, because it's the tutorial, and he always puts big gay Lenny in there.
Don't give away the surprise.
Can I wait for, can we incorporate Winnie in here, give him the rundown, and I'll let him go ahead if I suspect that we're going to run into a character. Let him get mesmerized.
I don't know. What's your appearance?
I have the 2 in appearance.
I don't know. You're average looking. Depends on his appearance.
What about my 4 manipulation?
I think you could try to manipulate him into sucking your...
That would be a good opportunity.
Why don't I manipulate... I'll manipulate Winnie to suck the guy's dick.
Big brain shit.
I guess...
I sincerely hope that you're joking, but I want to say this because I've had this problem. When it comes to stuff like I'm going to manipulate them with just words, not magic, I generally won't let you roll to do that to other players.
If it involves sucking dicks, I think the rules have changed.
Well, okay, that would be extremely off the rails, but an example would be, there's an ambush around the corner. You don't want to get shot first, so I want to roll manipulation and intimidation and scare the other player into going around first. I won't let you roll that. You can role play it out, try to convince him.
Not something that will, kill them, but, make them suck someone's dick.
If you start using disciplines, then a whole other game.
Which discipline helps me make someone else suck someone else's dick?
Dominate.
Dominate.
Celerity. Pray tell, Kyler, how do you use celerity to make someone else suck somebody's dick?
Extremely quickly.
Just switch places like the Flash.
No, see, the right answer is vicissitude.
No, that's how you turn him into a dick-sucking fox.
Move so fast that you seem to defy gravity.
Unironically, though, that's legit advice. With dot one of dominate, like the very first dot of dominate, you just say suck, and then you will suck. So remember that when allocating your freebie points, and that each point of willpower is only an additional 1 freebie point.
Yeah, so that's that. Once you allocate those.
It is. Venture doesn't have a discipline in high speed.
So once you do that, you use your virtues to determine your starting humanity and willpower. Christian, will you do me a favor? Will you explain, if he needs it, how to do that for a few minutes so I can put my laundry away and get my bottle?
Yeah. What did you choose for your conscience and self-control?
2 conscience, 3 self-control.
So your starting humanity is 5. What'd you put for courage?
4.
So your starting permanent willpower is 4. That's the dots, not the boxes. Because how willpower works is essentially on any roll, well, most rolls, on any attribute plus ability roll, you can spend a temporary willpower, just 1, and that's the box. And if you spend that, then you just get an additional success, and that can prevent botching or give you an extra success. Or if you roll all successes, you can go above and beyond your dice pool, which is extraordinary. It's basically just your ammunition for throwing more effort at something, like a roll you really need to pass. You get 1 point of of willpower back every night. So each night you'll get 1 point back, and whenever you act in accordance with your nature, that's at the top with nature and demeanor. When you act in accordance with your nature, something that would extremely motivate or is rewarding to somebody of a certain nature, then you get a temporary willpower back. Usually just ask the GM and be like, I'm this nature, I just did this. Thrill seeker, I'm a thrill seeker, I regain willpower when I'm fucking risking my life and surviving and living life to the fullest, whatever. I just jumped from a moving car to another moving car and then rolled onto the ground. Can I get a willpower back?
Does Trickster give me a willpower point if I trick someone into sucking someone else's dick?
I would absolutely agree with that. So that really depends on the GM. But I think that is perfect.
So, you get players to make self-inserts of themselves, and then you have them suck someone's dick.
Oh, I don't do it. I'm not running it.
Yeah, him. But...
Also, it depends on how you go with the game, because it depends where you're at and what the context is when Big Gay Lenny shows up. but don't tell anyone else. That's sort of an Easter egg.
Now, if we incorporate the other guy, Winnie, I want him. If I suspect that Lenny is about to pop up, I will throw him in the way. And send him ahead. And I will encourage him to make a self-insert as much as possible.
Just make sure he doesn't play a Nosferatu, so he's the prettiest.
Does Lenny choose his target based on appearance?
Oh, I don't know. I've only been in it once. So I assume it's based on appearance because that would make the most sense. And nobody's ever played a girl as far as I know.
So if I get tricked into sucking a dick, can I still use my discipline to, like, suck the skin off of their dick?
I mean, depends. Depends on the context. I mean, if you're using celerity, you may as well do something better, like stabbing him or something, or sucking him to completion fast enough so you can get it over with already.
I give killer hand jobs.
You give friction burn hand jobs.
It's my signature I leave on my murders.
You just jerk their dick until it's bleeding. Talk to demons and steal soul.
Get rid of this stink bug.
Eat it.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Fuck, I'm a fat cunt.
There you are.
I heard you ask if Big Gay Lenny accuses us based on appearance. Yes, and appearance, opportunity, and mood.
We have to. Well, it's kind of, now that I know about it, like, we need to incorporate an unwitting player. And if I suspect that someone looks like they might be him, then they're going ahead of me. And then I don't have to murder someone with a hand job at the speed of light.
What a concept. Sonic Underground.
So I will excel at seducing people and then murder them with a hand job, lightning fast.
So what part are you at now?
Filled out. I have 5 humanity, 4 willpower.
Okay. Think you're just missing background. So, on page 130, background start. You can pick whichever ones you like. For the most part, there are some I won't let you take. You get 5 dots, so you can. One background is resources. That's money. You have a job of some sort. You can get like 1 dot and live out of a car and do odd jobs here and there. And you get something like $1,500, something like that. I think it's 5, but that you can just throw away on whatever a month. Or you can put 5 dots in it and be like a billionaire. Or you could put 1 dot in it and then 1 dot in ally. So you have a cop friend who helps you out with like tickets and stuff. And then like a couple dots in contact. So you have a little bit of an information network and like a dot in fame because you're a good painter and people know you locally. You can mix and match and
People know
take
me
whatever
for
backgrounds you like.
my particular skill with my hands that I've lethalized.
If you like. Now they start on page 130. The next page is a corrupted page. Ignore that. And then they continue. Generation, herd. By default, you're 13th gen, which means your maximum blood pool is 10, and the most blood you can spend per turn is 1. Each dot you put into generation lowers your generation, where 5 dots puts you at 8th gen. 8th gen can have something like 15 or 20 max blood, and they can spend up 15, and then they can spend up to 3 points of blood per turn. You use blood for buffing physical stats, healing, and activating disciplines, though not all disciplines. It's just the lower the gen you are, the more pure of a vampire you are.
So it's not so that whoever embraced me, then
They are 1 generation lower than you.
all right.
So if you don't buy any generation, you're 13th gen, your sire is 12th. Antediluvians, the people who are the first of your clan, are 3rd. And then their child are 4th, and theirs are 5th, and so on and so on.
Be a thin blood. Get the flaw.
I told you about, yeah, I did. Ted, who made a fucking filthy thin blood caitiff, and then took a fucking merit so he could basically be a Lasombra.
I invented my own discipline. It's called Big Nuts. I get big nuts and the world listens to me.
In my experience, if it's not clan, it's backgrounds that people get hung up on because there's a lot to choose from. Take as much time as you need. Once you get your background sorted, all that's left is to spend your freebies and roll 1d10 and you're done. So backgrounds is the last big hurdle, and then you're effectively finished.
So how many How many points do I have to spend on backgrounds? 5?
5.
Across
Yeah.
the board, like however many
Across.
I choose.
Yeah. You can specialize in one background. You can take 5 different backgrounds. It's up to you. Mix and match how you please. No retainers and no status. Only rules, really.
You don't get ghouls.
No, they're fledglings. They don't even know what those are, most likely.
But what if I take Kindred War at 5?
Your sire's probably broken a few rules, but I mean, I guess. But if you're at the point where you can make the argument for why you deserve retainers, then why are you playing tutorial mode?
To replay it. It's got good replay value.
If you want to replay it, Christian, just don't fucking do everything for them.
No, I'll if I replay it, I'll do the same thing I did before and take the flaw addiction and then just get really drunk and play it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you play it, you drink again.
Yeah, that was pretty fun, actually.
Especially because you started relatively sober, and then by the end, I could tell that you wanted to give like a lecture on jihad, but you were too drunk to get the words out. It was the best.
So generation is the most straightforward one, followed by herd.
If you like, herd is effectively just like, what's your perception?
Roll over 2.
Yeah, a dot or 2 of herd might be good for you, because if I remember correctly, the way it works is if you have, by default, when you go to hunt for blood, you just roll perception. If you have herd, you roll perception plus herd. So it's just easier to get blood, but it's not that hard. Keep in mind, if you have 0 resources, you are homeless. At best, you've been crashing at your sire's couch or whatever their equivalent of a couch is, which means public transport. You have no expendable currency. You're fucking broke. You're completely reliant on what you can steal in game.
Is a 1 in resources like I got 1,000 in savings?
1 in resources, I'll let you have like a car that you live out of. Though you can still crash at your sire's place if that's what you kind of sire you want to have. That's fine. It's not that relevant. But you can have like a car, and you get, it says on it what each dot gives you. I think it's 500. It's 1,000. No, it's 500. And then dot 2 is 1,200. Dot 3 is 3,000, 9,000, and then 5 is 30,000 per month that you can just drop on whatever you want. You could light that money on fire and not go hungry. Well, you don't eat, but you can pay your fucking bills.
I picked 2 in contacts, 1 in resources, and 2 in generation.
Okay. And you 2 contacts, that's effectively just like, I want to know something, roll contacts. So that doesn't really need a lot of explanation.
I'm under the impression that some high-class piece of shit is my sire.
Mm-hmm.
So probably knows people.
Yeah, it could be that, like, oh, your sire hooked you up with some boys who know shit. It could also be, I have a cell phone in my pocket which has Discord installed, and I've been fucking around with locals. Like, I'm in a Fort Discord server, and I'm looking for a guy. So I roll contacts and ask, hey, have you guys seen anything that matches this description?
Roll to ask ERP server if they know the whereabouts of my target.
Let's see.
That's worth 1 dot in context, I think.
There's the blood sheet. You put 2 dots in, so the top of your sheet, you mark that you're 11th gen. Your blood pool max is 12. You can spend 1 point of blood per turn. Freebies. That's all that's left. Break out a calculator if you have one. It's useful. On page 104, bottom right, freebie points. There's trait and cost. You get, I believe, 15. Yeah, 15 freebie points. So just punch that into your calculator. You 15. If you want to increase an attribute, it's 5. Abilities are 2. Disciplines are 7. Backgrounds are 1 per. Virtues are 2, and then humanity and willpower is 1. So you're buying more stats with freebies until you hit 0.
Get rid of 5 of those off the bat. You need 10 willpower.
Yeah, willpower is pretty great. And this is the point where your abilities, your talent, skills, and knowledges, if you want to raise them above 3, you can do so now using freebies.
Oh. Wait, which page has the freebie information?
104. I can also just take a fucking screenshot and post the price.
Humanity's only 1 in Vampire.
Yep.
It's 2 in House Games.
Yeah, but high rollers are genuinely more psycho than vampires. So it has some value there.
They're less human.
Yeah, they are. Like humanity house games, whereas fucking vampire, you're gonna like get 3 or 4 and just never change.
God, now that I think about it.
There's I uploaded a screenshot. There's the price.
There was a game recently where some guy, or not recently, but like before this long drought, where one of the guys got like powers based, like sort of like the Thing, where he could like split himself. He was basically a ghetto skin stealer, and he got the power to make like duplicates of himself, like cloning himself. And part of that was that they were individuals, like still people, still him. So they had wills and they wouldn't like do suicidal shit. But nobody ever said anything about murder. So there was a bunch of them. One of them like got his leg broken and then like his chest like fucked up, and all the rest of them just all looked at each other and they went after him and they picked him up and grabbed him. He was like, no. As the like fucking 15 of the same guy just circle around this one, and then like the alpha one, because he's a fucking skin stealer who weighs like fucking 800 pounds, just waddles over, and then they just start pushing him in as he gets reabsorbed and screams.
Yeah. High rollers are monsters.
No, not the Flash!
Like, at least vampires have the like concept of Golconda or whatever it is. You can try to get that as a high roller, but you're gonna have a high. There's gonna be a lot of corpses left behind you.
That's the fun part. You make your own goal. You don't need no damn fucking Eastern philosophy bullshit.
Once you spend your freebie points, you roll 1d10, and that is your starting blood pool.
Yeah, how do I determine how many freebie points I have?
You start with 15, and then everything you buy, I posted a screenshot, has a cost, and you subtract that cost from your 15 until you hit 0.
Freebies are currency. You are spending them on increasing stuff.
Yeah, you can buy 3 attributes, or you could buy,
Oh.
7 abilities, or you could buy 5 willpower, 5 more backgrounds, 2 abilities.
I have 15 points, and each of these is the cost
Yeah,
from that 15,
correct.
depending on the category. Okay.
Then from there,
I want a strength upgrade so I can punch. In addition,
Okay.
move really fast.
every additional dot of strength is 5 points. Buy as many upgrades as you want.
You know what? Probably need some melee. Oh wait, this.
No, dude. Save all your points. Just get 2 more dots in celerity.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
that's what I was thinking, actually. So,
Gotta go fast.
You'd actually be better off just fucking lowering your generation.
I don't know. That's just. So, do I like hit harder from how fast I move?
No.
Like it doesn't. Like
You
if
just-
I hit someone with a pipe at the speed of light.
They take normal pipe damage. However, you get the option to hit them 3 more times.
Which will likely kill them, whereas once may not.
Oh yeah, I don't know how Shadowrun is, but in World of Darkness, as you take damage, you become less capable of doing pretty much anything. You get dice penalties. So once you get hit, this doesn't apply as much to vampires because they're filthy cunts. But for people, once you get hit, you start to lose dice, so the chances of you getting hit again goes up. So in general, at least when you're playing a human, if you get hit once, you need to be fleeing. You need to get out of combat, or whatever hit you has to die immediately because you cannot win a battle of attrition.
Oh, but that's another use for temporary willpower is ignoring wound penalties.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Let me see what 5 celerity does.
It's just another action per dot.
When you spend 1 point of blood right now at the beginning of combat, you get your standard action and then 3 more. So you go 4 times. If you raise it up to 5, you get your standard action and then you go 5 more. So you're going 6. You're basically Sanic.
Which is
5
totally
dots
cheating.
Yeah.
Ugh.
5 dots in celery. Fucking
But
like out of combat, you're Superman.
But difficulty 5 to make you suck my dick.
True. Or more realistically, difficult or the first dot of dominate.
Wait
It's a
minute.
1-word command. They can just say stop.
Wait, so three fuck. So at 3 celerity, you can kill people by going through them.
I mean, if you have the right tools
It says on
or
the
skill set.
on the wiki. It says physical defiance. Move so fast you defy gravity and kill mortals.
Ignore
instantly.
that. Ignore that.
Is this
The
like a
wikis.
newer edition?
It might be. It also might be conflating fluff with actual rules. There used to be the reference desk, which was really good because it gave you exactly what you actually do. But they got taken down by the publishers of this game because you could realistically just use the reference desk and play this game. Like, you didn't need rule books. The wiki's not accurate enough to reliably tell you what you can actually do.
Also, for reference, both me and Kyler individually know more than every mod on the week.
Yeah.
Fuck the wiki. The whole point of the setting is to read the fucking books because you can't summarize everything in such a simplistic manner as wikis do.
An example I use is when you read a D&D book, it feels like reading a textbook, whereas World of Darkness books feel like reading a story. Like they're mostly fluff, and the rules are almost an afterthought.
They were selling a setting.
Yeah.
Now I gotta.
Fun little thing that is not standard in the game, but I do this for Vampire. You get one weapon from the weapon chart that exists. Any weapon, not the one that you're thinking of, Christian, just the Vampire one.
Wait, what?
I let players start with a weapon from the weapon chart in the Vampire book.
What was I supposed to be thinking of?
The stuff that Cletus had access to.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I choose plane of glass.
Yeah, that's not on the chart. It's like I'm trying to find it. It's relatively simple. Essentially it boils down to like you want to do melee, ranged, and then it boils down to do you want to carry your weapon around discreetly or not?
I want the Gep gun.
For melee, there's sap, club, knife, sword, and axe. Stake as well, but it's not that great. And then like revolvers, pistols, rifles, SMGs, assault rifles, shotguns, a crossbow.
Prod with the prod.
Page 214 has your weapons. $214 and $215. You get one for free. Any additional weapons you have to get in game.
Thumbtack.
But that's not too important. You can literally pick that at the beginning of the game. You don't have to decide ahead of time.
I should probably upgrade melee.
Yeah. If you want to use a melee weapon, if that's your go-to, then yes.
I don't know. I'll sacrifice a point on performance and give it a 1 in melee, and then for the freebie points, see, that's a 2 per dot. Four. Like if I fail to talk it out, just hit them like a million times in a second with a plank of wood.
Yeah, you could do that.
Just be a one-man like prison shank team. It's like they got shanked by 6 dudes all at once in like 3 seconds.
Here's a fun thing with I've had players do this. If you use it out of combat, there's not really any hard rules for it, so it's fucky, but I've had players make people think that they're literally surrounded by people by just going up to someone's window, activating celerity, and then going to every single window repeatedly.
Ghetto chimeristry.
Yep.
Ghetto-tastic.
Celerity can be really fun if you get creative with it. I really do like the discipline. Just the way it's used pisses me off.
Well, yeah, because it's just win combat, the discipline.
Yeah.
Rape face,
like,
the discipline.
Fucking running between windows is really fun, and like hijacking cop cars while they're moving.
Is that 5 celerity or 4 to do that?
At 5, I think I just let you make some very easy rolls. I would adjust the difficulty depending on how much celerity you have. Like I said, celerity doesn't have real rules outside combat, so that is like 90% me just making shit up.
Sounds like it seems like it's infuriating if a player chooses like 5 celerity, because then it's like, yeah, I win this encounter, and then I win this one.
Congratulations, you figured out what a warrior door is, and you made one.
No, he didn't make a warrior door because he's a fucking thin blood faggot. He needs to be 8th gen. He needs to be 4th gen.
No, 4th gen, not 3rd. With your blood expenditure is a question mark.
You know, I'm good with using Discord as my contacts to put another point in generation.
Fucking hell. Don't worry, he's not at the scary point yet.
No, he's not. I had a player who fucking abused celerity like, so I had to get real creative with the ways I combated that.
Another vampire with celerity.
No, I used a Fomor. I said I got creative. I didn't just fucking do the most mundane, easy solution.
Fight fire with fire.
No, he had to fuck with a Fomor who was extremely religious and wanted his head, him specifically.
What do I change with 3 generation? I have the 12 blood pool.
I posted the screen cap. With 3, you go down 12 to 10th, so you get 13 blood pool is your max.
Alright. Need all the ammo I can carry for celerity.
Just carry like 40 bricks.
You also use blood for healing, which is one of the things that I dislike about Vampire, because it turns into Danda-esque shit where, okay, the fight's over, we sit down for 2 minutes and we're back at 100%.
Now you gotta go get blood, which might be a thing.
Yeah, but it rarely is, or was, because you know the player that I had. Combat was 1 round. It was fucking like Dragon Ball Z shit. Then it was over.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, I'm just gonna teleport behind people nonstop.
I told you how he killed the prince, didn't I, Christian?
Didn't they like summon him or something?
One player summoned his ass, and I didn't know what to do, so emergency ending the game. And then the next game, I was just like, okay, I have a couple tricks up my sleeve, and this should like scare them enough that it will work. And he showed up, almost killed a guy. Combat began, and Ted fucking teleported behind him and just beat him to death.
How did he do that?
With celerity.
You gotta do aggravated.
He was a fucking gangrel.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. He got erased.
Yep. Him and his sheriff.
What other clans use
Fuck you and fuck the horse you rode in on.
Let's see.
You use celerity to jerk off super fast and cum blood everywhere, like a retard. By the way, all your bodily fluids are replaced with blood.
Yep. And you have no sex drive anymore. And if you decide to spend blood to simulate human sex interaction, it's not actually pleasurable.
It just hurts.
It's probably how jerking off now feels like.
It just makes you hungry.
It's like you've jacked off for the 4th time today.
I had a
In an
player
hour.
who used to spend blood to jack off at night, and he would eat his own blood cum.
And you say you don't facilitate ERP.
I didn't fucking play it out with him. He just declares that that's what he's doing. And I don't want to. I didn't want to be a rules lawyer. Ejaculation.
So
we should email White Wolf and ask them if they can. If you do that, do you get the blood point back? I'm sure no one will answer that email.
As far as I'm concerned, you do, because it was mechanically the same thing as saying I go to sleep.
I go to sleep.
Yeah. He's not doing anything productive or anything that requires my input. So he's like, okay, you do that.
Roll dexterity performance.
Haha. He's also the one where I told you they went out and tried to abduct cute girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I made his like an ex-Scientologist prostitute / stripper.
So I changed my second attribute to physical, so I can input 2 more into strength for celerity.
As long as you adjusted all the stats appropriately, that's fine.
Yeah, I changed them around. I want melee. I should probably do that.
So you know, in melee, I think, is it also unarmed for you use dex for that, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in combat period, it's generally dex plus whatever skill you're using to hit, and then strength is used to determine damage. So you can hit really hard, but if you're not accurate, you can miss.
You use dex to hit better. You use strength to hit deader. Though at your rate, it doesn't really matter what your strength is because you'll do 6.
Wait, so the speed does affect your damage?
Dexterity
No.
is just accuracy. Think of it that way.
So,
No, speed doesn't affect damage.
the
I've had a couple
speed-
drinks. I misunderstood.
The speed affect how well you aim. Like if
No.
I'm max like celerity.
No, it doesn't affect how well you aim, but you are faster. So if you are not very accurate, it's kind of okay because you can afford to miss because you're just going to swing at them again.
Yeah, so I switched. Social is least. It's my third stat. My third priority stat. Physical is now first. With 4 in strength and 4 in dexterity, and then probably spend my freebies on celerity.
And that would raise your celerity to 5, and you have 1 freebie left.
And then I will. And then abilities, I might shuffle these.
You lowered your generation, didn't you?
Yeah, to 10.
Yeah, so 11, 12, 11. So yeah, you get 2 up celerity up to 5, and then another dot of generation. That's all your freebies.
So I have 1 point for abilities, and now
If you bought 2 dots of disciplines and 1 dot of backgrounds, you're out of freebies.
probably 2 points in melee is probably. I mean, I should probably. I guess I'll switch to skills being my second priority.
Yeah, as long as you're doing that properly, that's fine.
Okay, so 6.
That's completely normal. It's your first World of Darkness character sheet. You're figuring out how things work.
Yeah, there's a probably. I can fill this out and just post it, right? And it'll work. Yeah, like what do I need contacts and resources for when I could spend them on generation?
Information gathering.
I could just be everywhere at once and see where they're at. Well, I don't need if I'm so fast, I don't need a car, right? And I can just steal money, right?
You can attempt that. Celerity costs blood, so using it as your main form of transportation is going to leave you starving all the time. And when you are low on blood, you're at a higher risk of frenzy. And if you frenzy, you're at a higher risk of breaking the masquerade. And if you break the masquerade, you might just get killed. It's not like the video game where you get 5 strikes. You have like half a strike. The Camarilla is pretty strict on that.
So one in context,
That said, if
one in
the
resources.
Camarilla sends death squads after you, they still have to manage to kill you.
Just gotta find where he sleeps. Send them ghoulies, nigga.
I mean, if I have 5 celerity, I can just steal someone's keys in their car. I can just open a car door.
Yes, you can, but then if that car gets reported stolen and a cop pulls you over and they arrest you and put you in a jail cell, when that sun rises, you die. If you activate celerity and murder that cop, people are going to look into that, and if it looks even a little supernatural, you've broken the masquerade.
Alright, just 3 in generation.
I'm just explaining the consequences. Do what you want. Don't let me tell you how to play your character.
Go full GTA. Derail. Go become a skin dancer. Break not only the masquerade, but the paradigm.
Breaking the conditioning. Sick of this crap. Chemicals in the water turn the freaking frogs gay.
You know what? Fuck the car. 4 generation. Fuck money. Fuck it. So what's 4 generation? Let's see.
Now he's in bad bitch mode.
Yeah.
Your game is over, Tyler.
I mean,
I'm 9th generation now. So
this is like pre-boot camp, Christian. If he turns it into just combat, then he's gonna have a good idea of what it's at least mechanically like. So if he does house games,
I guess that's fair.
I every time I run this, I expect a nightmare. I am well past being like upset or shocked at shit like 5 celerity, 9. I've had worse.
15 actions around. 15 actions around, 15 successes each. I fucking dab on their reality.
See, this is the recruiter talking very nicely, making the army sound really, really fun. Don't worry, I'll hold your hand and show you. And then he plays the Empire, and then we take him into fucking Ottertown. That's boot camp.
Alright, well, I think I've done everything I was supposed to do up to this point. Spent my freebies.
Roll 1d10 for starting blood pool. Get a better bot.
Get a better slot.
Get a better bot, you whore.
Is there a tabletop
Yes.
bot?
Yes, there is. I'll link it. Sidekick Dicebot. GitHub. Here you go. This is the best Dicebot.
What makes it better?
It doesn't fucking pop up a little window like that says, in the end, the result was, it just fucking gives you the numbers. It's quicker. And it's real versatile. Like, you can do 1d10, plus 4, and then you can also add what the roll is for. So you would do, like, kill myself, #kill myself, and then it would give you the dice result, and it would say what the action was for.
You can also do World of Darkness rolling because the pool system is.
It does exploding dice as well. It's better. Trust me. You can set the difficulty like what is it, greater than equals to?
Yeah.
Like that would be a difficulty 6 with World of Darkness botching in effect. It's just a better dice bot.
Because when you roll the pool, whenever you roll a 1 on the face, it's a botch, which is basically -1 success. And if you go into negative successes, then oh boy, fun stuff happens. Spoiler, that's how you summon Big Lenny. Oops. You got the wrong door, bub. Leather Club is down the hall. Fuck you. Then he rapes your mouth.
Can't select my own
Good.
server on this.
Good emoji.
I fucking love Black Rum so much.
You have black cum.
Yeah, I'm drinking black cum, dude. # my wife's boyfriend.
# my wife's husband.
That's some Mormon shit.
I can't add
Mormons don't do that.
That's some reverse Mormon shit.
That's the anti-Mormons.
Yeah.
They live in the lush jungles of whatever is on the other side of the world on Utah. Mongolia.
They just live in Arizona.
They just live in the lush jungles of Arizona.
Yeah.
Home of the anti-Mormons.
For some reason, I can't select my own server to authorize this bot to come on. Like nothing there.
Probably because you don't have rights to do it.
Roll intelligence plus computer.
Computers.
Get fucked.
There's not one computer in the world.
It's a cute clown. Too fat though. Plus sharp
Oh,
knees.
God.
Sharp knees would not bang.
She doesn't have it anywhere near sharp knees. Sharp knees.
Blood pool max 50. Methuselahs are cunts.
You're supposed to be. Man, that's what I should do for fucking house games. I should just have y'all fucking fight one.
Oh fuck. Yeah, that's actually really good. A goddamn Methuselah.
I mean, that's what it says at like the end of the rule book. Like the old ones apparently said, like, yeah, just make elders, but give them an ass ton more backgrounds. Basically, make Methuselahs, but like stat them. Say they're elders for the sake of I don't know.
No. You need to do better. Make for house games. Make a Methuselah, but then have everything in the game point to it being an antediluvian or Cain.
Cain.
Yeah, so that then later when we fucking kill Cain, we have that moment of wow, that Methuselah was a bitch. Why were we so dumb?
Discord's being fucking retarded right now. I can't get
Do
the
you not
web
have
browser to hit the bot.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's all fucked up right now.
I mean, you can figure it out later. You can suffer through the game with your current dice bot. I use a thing on my end to roll, so it doesn't really affect me too much. Or you can go out and buy physical dice.
Like a real man.
That Feelwin never bought physical dice.
You have physical dice.
I had them at one point, but they're gone now.
I had physical dice gifted to me. Like a broke man.
Broken.
Yes, and
Corruption general.
yeah. The only thing that I think you're missing for character is like the free weapon I give, and then like nature, demeanor. You need to name yourself. Nature, demeanor is real easy. You can do it now. You can do it later. Everything else you can essentially make up on the spot.
Oh, I see what Discord's doing. If fucking hadn't you signed into some random account instead of this one on my web browser. Fucking retarded. Alright.
Don't forget inventory.
Yeah, it's a good practice to get in, though I wouldn't rake you over the coals for it in this game. If you go on to play the mage game you'll get fucked for this, but it's good practice to get into writing every single thing your character has down. All the way from like shoes and socks, lighters or cigarettes if you have any, weaponry, ammunition count, the amount of magazines, every little detail. I won't be too strict on it here, but you've been warned that it gets harder.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed more complex.
Yeah, tutorial mode, dude. It gets significantly more difficult.
Where the rewards are so much greater.
I'm still upset that I died before I got Balefire, Flux, and Balefire.
That is too powerful. No one man should have that much power.
Wasn't a man anymore at that point. It was just an agent of the worm.
An avatar of the worm.
Yeah. Fucking get thrown into a game with like two of my best buddies and get told you kill them and we'll reward you, and immediately start picturing spirals drawn in blood.
Well, they were, but it was yours.
Yeah. And then he was brought back to life, those fucking cunts.
Well, I mean, it was foretold that it is the most painful game out there.
My game log, the last game is the good guys lost, gift, death. And then in parentheses, taken away by the fucking scout.
Oh, fuck.
I hate that skeleton.
Yeah.
I hate him so much.
Yeah, I had to use time travel to get that.
I just know
Is
that
that-
you described me as like waking up in like a giant fucking test tube surrounded by other things that I couldn't quite make out. And then the fucking worm just brainwashed me.
Is this part of Mage?
How much do you know about Mage?
I only know whenever I go on a giant wall of text tangent, channeling bullshit, and then when it becomes a parallel with the Mage book, and then I look it up.
There's Mage, and then there's the form of Mage that you may play someday, where you're not a mage in the traditional sense. You're what's called a marauder. Standard mages have to work around and or with global paradigm. Marauders are so insane that they force the paradigm around them locally to adhere to their rules. So any sense of logic or consistency goes out the window.
The Virgin Mage and the Chad Marauder.
Well, Marauders are literally insane, but while they may not have complete control over themselves, they also are not as susceptible to paradox.
The Chad Marauder, literally insane, doesn't need to be sane.
Yeah, that's a good shorthand for the game that you may play sometime. It is the Chad Mage game.
You also don't have to be schizophrenic to play it for the rules and for the meta, because there is no meta.
It does already sound like it has a schizophrenic parallels to reality. It's like
mechanically and on like a moment-to-moment basis, it's much more accessible. But then the way it fits into the setting is some of the most obtuse shit. So
essentially, in order to play,
oh, go ahead.
No, in order to play, the sane, rational, enlightened individuals of the world of darkness, the mages, you have to be literally schizophrenic in order to comprehend what's going on and how to play as them. And in order to play as the most insane, most broken people, you just have to. It's the most simple game. They're insane for you.
It does.
So you don't have to think too hard about the logic.
Yeah. It sounds peculiar.
Your character has schizophrenia, so you don't have to, but it helps.
Essentially, how the game works is you don't even have to know about mage lore, because that's what it was designed for, is just for anybody to show up. You just drag somebody out from the wilderness and say, we're playing a tabletop game, which was how I was jumped in. And basically you just sit down, you get asked, okay, make a character like a real life person in modern day, wherever on Earth, who has 1, driving goal that they're willing to risk their life for repeatedly in order to get. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Any deeper implications, any metaphysics, any lore, anything else is entirely optional. All you got to know is I'm risking my life on a regular basis to get the good shit, which may be a castle made of cocaine for millions of hookers, or I want to bring my dead grandpa back, or some other gay shit, depending on how complex character you want to make.
Do we come up with self-inserts and then use this to draw parallels to our reality?
You may.
Depends. I've done that.
My first character in that game was close to a self-insert. Much more competent and successful than I could ever dream of being, but the mentality was pretty similar.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is that every tabletop character that you play as is going to have a part of your soul in it, because if it doesn't, then
not is, it should.
I'm fine with not making self-inserts. I can make fun characters, but in this, the kind of game that Mage is, like, I've done a sufficient enough amount of LSD to kind of get the gist of what the game is trying to convey, the narratives it's trying to make.
Well, you can also step away from that, and that's also a sign of a good actor.
Well, eventually, you will get either tired of playing a self-insert, or you will get inspired by something else enough to make something radically different from yourself.
Well, it won't literally be me. It'll be some kind of crazy bad shit.
What's the statistic again? 60% death rate?
Roughly.
Yeah. So self-inserts are you're not going to survive, most likely not.
Well, it's 60% casualty, which is a greater percentage is death, but it's also maiming. That's honestly actually probably worse, is because if you die, you can just say, okay, I shred this fucking character sheet. That character is dead. But it's another thing entirely when you start racking up flaws that affect how you can play your character. So, like being
like a second head
or being paraplegic makes living and doing dangerous shit a lot harder. Or being insane, like, more so. Like, these characters are insane, but they aren't aware of it. So just, like, if you desire, eradicate that from your mind, because they're not aware of it. They don't give a shit. They're too busy seeking after the gold of the gods to care about whether or not they're being rational about things.
Well, I get the applications that he's saying with it's a form of consuming paradigms by making different people from yourself. But when I say make a self-insert, I mean, like, if I were to indulge in the absolute schizophrenia that I've been bestowed with thanks to psychoactives, it's just shit like it started to make parallels with what the Mage book has. So it's basically just vague demons and pursuing something anyway.
See, with me, like, I definitely put a lot of myself in all of my characters, but there's a certain line where I don't like to get too close to self-insert, because that,
No,
I don't know, it doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I'm the same way, and plus, like, I don't want to make a self-insert that's going to get forced to suck a vampire's dick.
See, you have more foresight than the only power gamer that I've had the displeasure of gaming with. Okay, self-insert is one thing, right? But a literal self-insert, as in his name, his likeness, his life, playing as that, and then getting taken on a game to a nightmare wherein your greatest fears are put before you.
Yeah. So it's like you're kind of framing like a tabletop ego death where they
Well,
yeah,
there's a saying, and that's if it has stats, we can kill it, and that can kind of go both ways, and that's how it does. Because then, if you put too much of yourself into the character, whoops, now he's sucking dick.
yeah,
Because magic powers.
I wasn't going to do it anyway. Like it's uninspired to me to just make a blatant self-insert. Like even when we were doing Shadowrun, I made like an autistic wage cock with who was like a half gunslinger, half psychomancer. Like it wasn't just a self-insert of me, but it was like a relatable character that was different enough. Like that's as close as I get. I don't like to make a blatant self-insert.
My first character ever was a D&D game where someone dropped out and a guy messaged me on Skype, said like, "Hey, I have an opening, you want to play?" And I said yes, and he had me make a character right then and there. So I went into the game without even a name for my character, and that was a self-insert. But since then, yeah, if it has stats, you can kill it, but you can also rape it.
Yeah, that's why don't make a self-insert and don't make a woman.
Yeah, I've never seen anyone win satisfactorily, but yeah. I don't blame people who do self-inserts for their first character ever.
Now that's natural, but when we first started doing this, like I still tried to distance myself. Like I wanted to make something I could relate to, but then after that, now it's like he's like a heavily armed, pickup driving, racist hillbilly.
Well, you aren't a racist hillbilly IRL.
I don't have a pickup truck.
Nah, damn. Neither do I.
It's way too much of a difference.
Wait.
No, he's more like he's just a mongrel of everything between Alaska and Finland. The redneck.
I've yet to have the experience of playing a game with TM as the GM. I'd like to see it.
Well, for about 20 minutes, we were trapped in the saga of a character who would not stop watching the movie he had playing inside of his eyes.
TM, we played Warhammer instead.
Warhammer Only War.
Yeah, we did that. Speaking of, Christian, do you have an ETA for that fucking like lore dump I'm gonna get?
Oh, I haven't even. I got 2 weeks to do it. Fuck you.
No, I'm not fucking pushing you to do it quicker. I was just wondering.
No, I don't have anything.
Cool.
I have to curate exactly what I'm gonna put in it.
Cool. Do note, if you want to do like half of it if like half of it's in High Gothic, I might fucking just buy High Gothic. So let me know ahead of time. Probably spend my XP on that, so you're properly warned.
Well, it definitely is going to be like half an High Gothic. I might just make you make tests for it though, just because I don't want to put together the whole fucking thing. Also, because linguistic tests are often ignored in 40k RPGs, and I want to use them more.
That's fine. Yeah, do it however you like.
Yeah. Big gay Lenny.
Yeah, with or without knowing about Big Gay Lenny, I would not have used a blatant self-insert. That's just like something I didn't even realize that I was making a safeguard against. If someone inserts their ego into a game that severely, then you should ego death them with a blowjob.
My first character for my first character for the Marauder game was a meth cook and addict. I used to be a meth cook. That's a lot of the same mentality I was talking. In the very first game, this character got raped, and I still feel violated by that to this day. And it was like fucking 6 months ago, if not longer. Like I remember you saying what happened, and in the moment, all I felt was denial. Like he's lying.
Just dabbed a grief away, dude.
Well, I fucking burned the place down, so
Anger.
my asshole healed. His house is forever gone.
Bargaining.
Fuck you. Fuck you so much.
Depression. You literally dabbed.
That feel when 5 a.m. rum and cokes for Christmas Day. Good times.
I don't have alcohol, but I have not very legal substances lying around.
Such as?
Well, I'm sure the FBI.
Oh yeah, didn't it Government Spooks raid you?
Yeah, because I don't
Ted Kaczynski
talk
did
with a
nothing
filter on YouTube.
Yeah, no, I heard about that.
And nothing changed. Nothing happened.
You're absolutely right. Ted Kaczynski did nothing.
He was right.
He's wrongfully imprisoned and should be released to this day. And it's also a
told-
fucking crime. It is a fucking crime that I cannot find contact info because I really want to write him a letter, and I think he's near death. He's like 70 years old by this point.
I told the FBI to their faces, Ted Kaczynski was right. Because they asked me about that. When they were interrogating me and psychologically analyzing me.
An American hero.
He was literally right.
I can't remember what I wanted to tell him about the fucking what were they called, the Vault 7 leaks, just to see if he would even write back, but you can't find a mailing address for him.
Sure, most people mailing him are a bunch of like pole fascists and commies.
List.
Well, that too.
No, it's a bunch of people on a watch list, dude.
I know a bunch of because he trash talks both conservatives and the left. There's like commies and
yeah,
I guess you would call them the alt-right, whatever. All the ideologies
there's
there.
Extremists. Period.
We all love them.
Doesn't matter which left or right.
If we operate on the 2D political spectrum, instead of horseshoe theory, it's like a circle. The center opposite to the liberal center. That's... If you're anywhere near that, I guess you think Kaczynski is a hero.
You know about Timothy McVeigh?
Yeah.
Wrongfully executed. He did nothing wrong.
Well, I mean, I support the government's right to destroy militias and murder people's
He wasn't part
wives.
of a militia. Of course, I forget that you're being monitored.
I support destroying all militias and shooting wives.
And their dogs.
Dogs deserve it.
You kill the dogs and the children first.
I didn't realize. I mean, you don't realize how right Kaczynski really was until you get ripped apart by demons on an LSD trip 3 times. For some reason it opens your eyes to that.
I have not done LSD. I would not know. I also do not consort with demons. I am my own demon.
Well, that's kind of the idea, is that you need your brain is like a puzzle box, and when it's solved, then you produce the demons that help you, go through the trials, and then you'll run into enlightenment, which...
Hey, Christian,
Hmm.
do I consort with demons?
I'll let you decide.
What do you think, though?
I think I've made my outlook very clear.
Uh-huh. I found your thread, by the way.
I didn't make a threat. What are you talking about?
It was one of us. It's just like a big brain Pepe, and it says I'm anti-natalist. That's it.
Why would you accuse me of such shit posting? I make quality posts and I never make threads.
Procreate. First reply is that would be a pretty noble thing if you had the chance to procreate in the first place.
Sick burn.
Dabbed on.
Me on the left.
Dag, were you the one who showed up to VC back during the crusade where it was two fat cunts swinging around machetes?
Yeah, doing their elite CQC training.
That's how I'm going to refer to that. I'm going to call that C training from now on.
It was just a class on daggers.
That wasn't two drunk cunts being autistic about weapons. That was training.
I mean, I didn't know why I was watching it.
I don't know either. TM brought you in.
I was expecting some kind of like cult gathering, and then see.
No, the cult gathering happened after. I went out and found a cult.
There's no shortage of them out there. It's just
Yeah,
that most
after
of them
that-
are sexual degenerates.
I had popped some ecstasy right before that, so I was high on that and weed and drunk. And then after that, I went out back to the streets and just rounded up like 4 or 5 people and started preaking spirals and chaos at them.
But you haven't done LSD.
No, I have not. I specialized in uppers, not hallucinogens. I have done a lot of crystal meth and pretty much every other stimulant you can name, I've at least dabbled in.
I mean, if you're brainlit, which I don't think, if we're this deep on a Discord and into these into these kinds of paradigms and whatnot, and none of us are really brainlets. I'm talking like, I mean, if you're like your average wage cuck, you have nothing to worry about on LSD. You just see some colors.
Oh yeah, I've wanted to try it. I want to try it.
Well,
I had the opportunity to try mushrooms once, but unfortunately that happened the same day as I had bought a bag of crystal meth, and I did not feel like sharing with my friends, so I ignored their phone call.
well, if you have the fortune of crossing paths with LSD and you need to spew walls of text about it, you know, you could throw that knowledge this way.
I'm not sure what you just asked me. I tried LSD.
If you ever do LSD and
Oh,
you have some
right.
big life
Yeah.
changing revelation,
I don't know if it would fuck with me that much. I'm too jaded, I think. But
That's what
that might be ego.
that's what I thought, and then shit happened.
Yeah, it might be ego.
Well, I never knew. I get ego death from weed, but I never really knew the true meaning of it until I took LSD.
I wouldn't say that I have never. I don't get people who are like I get ego death from weed. I genuinely don't get it. Like
Well, it's
weed is just a less insane version of alcohol.
it's
Like it's much more reliable, steady, and doesn't fuck with me as much.
I do enjoy weed. And I know what you're talking about, but if I take weed after like a long time of not doing it, then I get the psychological effects from it. I get like blasted by it. And the first few times I took it, I felt like I was being electrocuted, and then I kind of had an ego death. I felt how the weed was reacting with my brain, and then I started thinking about what the consciousness is and all that, usual bullshit. So I was basically a ticking time bomb for LSD.
I have thoughts about like what consciousness is and all those quote unquote deep thoughts that weed gives you, but every time I come down, it's just like, oh, I was high. That was fun.
It's like it doesn't really mean anything whenever you're inside of like an ego fort, which we are right now. Even like I am, they gradually come back. But then, like, when you just burn it all away and you just look at the world for what it is, it's always mind blowing, and it helps you see things clearer.
Yeah, maybe.
Never gets old. I know, like it is all just like no shit pseudo intellectual bullshit.
Try crystal meth, my man. That's life changing.
I am on thin ice with the people I'm leeching off of right now. I do not need to rip doors off of hinges or anything.
No, it turns you into a special kind of monster. Like whatever moral or ethical standards you have right now, you could do meth and uphold them, but if you keep doing meth within 3 months, morals become a meme. It's a buzzword you use to win arguments at that point.
You can you have existential thoughts and introspectiveness, and you can you're able to gauge paradigms. So like on one hand, like if you did LSD, like it's possible you would kind of go crazy on it like I did, but it also seems like I don't know, it could be half and half. Like you definitely are nothing like the average person who doesn't feel anything on it.
I was a meth head 5 years ago, almost 6. And I think it did trigger like a mild form of like legit schizophrenia because I still deal with hallucinations.
Yeah, sadly, I'm on the transitional phase where I say I'm indulging in the delusions. That's usually how it always starts with the other things that I got into.
You should always indulge your delusions.
Always indulge in it, see where it goes, hold multiple viewpoints, and then what you're indulging into sucks everything else down the toilet.
Reality is a fuck. If you can be delusional and embrace that, then you're happy.
Well, I mean, you can only really be happy if you're a wage cuck.
If you
Terry Davis.
You die if you work.
Yeah, you do die if you work. It's the antithesis of enlightenment, is wage cucking. Terry Davis indulged in his madness, and he was just crazy all the time.
And he became a legend. He's immortal. He will never die because
of his passion and his agony. Not necessarily that he was happy, but it's kind of like I could imagine being where he is, like just gradually losing my mind, working on something.
Terry A. Davis will live forever.
Yeah, he's a god now. He's immortalized on the G board.
Fucking despise that Horace killed him.
Horace killed him? What?
The whole series of events was the G cult was respectful and good and had like very hands off. They were just observers and doing the right thing. And then fucking Horace made a lol cow video about him. And as far as I understand, the series of events is that people saw that and meme lords started sending him shit, including a drum set, which I guess he used, and that led to him getting kicked out of wherever he was, which I think it was with his parents or some shit. And so then he started living out of his car, and then so on and so forth until he got hit by that train.
What is the greater form of infamy? Killing Joji or killing Horace?
At this point, killing Horace. I think Joji is like fading away.
I think I'd want to kill Horace given the opportunity.
I hate him more because at least Joji is just some fucking kid, like just some fucking faggot with problems that made a bunch of dumb internet shit. Fucking Horace is just a prick.
Are we using like mage terminology to describe like Mr. Meteker, or is there someone else who?
No, it's Meteker.
Okay.
And it's 40k wording.
War Minister.
I agree that he's a prick, but in the normie consensus, he's the closest thing to a symbol that we have, and it's just he's not centralized. Like you can, if you paid attention to it, Sargon of Akkad and Horus were the two big ones in the normie consensus that they really defined. Think of it as like old 4chan, like the cunts who were hackers on steroids blowing up the NFL. And then Sargon of Akkad is the fucking wide-eyed idealists who are running Project Canology for a better world.
Right.
But we need a centralized leadership to make a difference.
You are right about that. Meteker honestly is he actually is like an old fag from the actual origin of 4chan. He does have like the spirit more than pretty much anyone else with a public presence like that. He doesn't have like a real political position except for, you know, the vague one that we all have, anti-conformist.
I think he gave out his I think he actually did, and then he tried to backpedal on it. And I lost some respect when I saw that.
Backpedal on
Not
what, his
that-
politics or something?
I think he actually said what he truly believed. And then later, when confronted on that, he said, "Oh, I don't really believe that," and I think he was lying. It was basically like someone asked him, like, "What? How do you fix society?" And he said,
are you
"Well,
talking
be an
about?
acceleration. You make things worse until everything burns down around you." And he say, "I told you so." I think that's what he really, really, really wants. But then people ask him, like, "Do you really want that?" He's like, "Oh no, no, no. I was just giving an example." Like, fuck you. Stop lying.
You know what? I liked when someone asked him, "What do we do about these mega corporations that are taking over society and controlling the paradigms?" And he said, "There's nothing you can really do except use guns."
Yeah, that's in line with acceleration.
Well, that's is that accelerationism or is that a hard fix to the problem? I mean,
You use guns and things are you might kill your enemy, but I don't think things will get better long term or short term.
It's well, see here this cabal of corporations. It all really stems from these big banks putting pressure on like advertisers and all these companies and spinning media narratives. I mean, if you scared them into backing off, so to speak, hypothetically, I wouldn't advocate this.
You can't do that. I don't think it's possible.
Well, if you make them
I think you could
realize.
scare them into changing their tactics slightly, but overall, not much would change. Or you could kill them. And if you kill them, then your position is weakened in the normie point of view because people want to deny the validity of violence.
Well, the only people who actually abhor violence against big banks are, your liberals and libertarians. If you really think about it, like who? Because I've seen this conversation about is it right to rob a bank, and no one except liberals really have a problem with it, and free market worshippers. They're like, if J.P. Morgan got shot up, would how many people would have? Oh, I disavow it as well. I love the big banks.
Filthy Semites.
Well, that comes from a false understanding of exactly how banks operate. They view it with this idea that banks will never fail because that's the thing that we've put together because we have it set up so that doesn't happen. So they don't perceive that robbing a bank can possibly lead to a bank shutting down and thus their accounts being defunct. And that's why all the insurances exist and all that other shit exists. The reason why people don't see a problem with it is because it's so abstracted. I was thinking about this as well with the same thing. It's just stealing in general. So the reason why like stealing in general isn't exactly that bad now is because it's so abstracted. Like the reason why stealing is such a horrible thing, and especially in context of like unindustrialized society, is that when you stole, you're not stealing someone's like stuff in the way that we think about it. Everything is handmade, everything is hand created.
Right.
And in the case of like food, it is most likely limited to exactly what you need. And so when you're stealing from somebody, you are causing them to starve. You are driving them closer to death. And that's where the offense comes from. In this world where you can go and get a fucking Big Mac for like $2, it matters less if you steal a candy bar or steal whatever, this or that. It comes down to like personal ethics as opposed to direct cause and effect of you do this, you're causing me to starve. In the context of a bank, I think that's just fucking normal fags being retarded and going, oh, banks will never fail. So they think about robbing a bank and they go, oh yeah, all but the worst ones would go, oh man, yeah, stick it to the man. I mean, it's not going to affect me. And that's precisely why they're apathetic about it. It's because they have this false thought that it's not going to affect me. as opposed to, being against the banks. They're just neutral about the situation.
Yeah, it is part of the soulless oversaturation of human presence. The overabundance in disposable products and wealth, and our detachment from the giant monolithic machines that we have no connection toward. And I mean, it's not just any banks. It's more like if no one would want to rob like a local smaller bank. It's more like if J.P. Morgan, like this is the big bank, like this is the one behind like PayPal and MasterCard that puts the pressure on all the other companies to say, we need you to get rid of Alex Jones. We need you to get rid of all these neo-Nazis. Get rid of Sargon of Akkad. Get rid of all these people. Like, if you... Like, then it becomes like an actual problem. Like, these people, if you look at it the right way, they're actually subverting the country. You could apply like a necessity to robbing them in addition to fuck them, they're rich and it doesn't affect me. In addition to like our detachment from these giant machines. It's like you have every clearance to rob certain banks in hypothetical situations that I think are horrible. Like, I wouldn't say rob PNC Bank or whatever, because I have not seen that bank do anything politically to try to change the paradigm of the country.
Well, I think what you're conflating is the actions of the corporation and being morally okay with like countering that through action, and and just the simple economics of it, that they're technically a bank first. They hold money for people, they invest it, they try and get returns on that and give it back. Sure, when you attack that bank, you're stopping the political stuff, but inherently, if you're stopping that, you're going to stop the other operations first, because they're going to stop running, like, sure, maybe they'll run out and stop doing the political stuff, but that's not going to happen before they cut off like the normal everyday man. And people don't think that, my bank account, it is a number, it is a digital number on my fucking phone app or whatever. And if that bank shuts down, there's a possibility that, oh yeah, cool, this phone app says I have this much dollars, but I actually don't, because that bank just disappeared and lost all of my money, all of my life savings. And that's the real repercussions of attacking and destroying a bank, at least in the short term, where it will be that thing that people are afraid of and causes market instability and all that jazz. And that's why they don't let that happen, because nobody wants a fucking another depression.
That's honestly not even a big factor in terms of, like, you have people on the left who just fundamentally hate these institutions by principle, and then you have the right who are witnessing themselves being removed from the paradigm across civilization, like completely losing their ability to communicate their ideas. Like, they're physically being stopped. Like at that point, they're not even at that point it's like they're not even concerned about what the economic impact would be. And if not, most of them are probably poor people who aren't even near the banks anyway. Like, if the operations...
Everybody uses the bank, so...
I don't use J.P. Morgan or any of that. Those are like...
Do you have a job?
Yeah, I don't use a bank that that would probably be targeted by a terrorist attack.
Well, I mean that's a positive thing, I suppose, but a lot of people don't have a choice in that, or it's a fucking pain in the ass, so they just decide to go with one or the other, and
I'm sure
it's really it's really just a statement against the common retard who doesn't understand the ramifications of bank get attacked, bank shut down, me no have money no more, because they have this false idea that I'm investing in this company when really they think about it like, oh, I'm putting it under the mattress or whatever, when in reality under the mattress is much safer. So I don't know, that's pretty much just the idea that I think most people have. Why is my wall molding?
Because the spore consumes all.
My fucking impurity scroll of corn is rotting from the bottom up. Fucking terrible.
Praise Nurgle.
It's fucking awful.
Praise Nurgle.
I don't know how mold can grow on flat, like, nothing surfaces.
Because it's a blessing.
I don't want this blessing.
You're gonna get it. You just have to accept the spore into your heart.
I don't want to accept it into my lungs.
I accept it into my heart and lung. And look at me, I'm fine.
You cough blood.
Yeah.
Your leg's not broken.
Yes, and I'm grateful.
You are
I'm
not
grateful to
fine.
cough blood. I'm glad that I cough blood.
Well, I'm
In fact,
glad at
now
least
that
you're
you bring
happy.
it up, I'm a bit upset that I haven't coughed blood in like a week. I don't want to heal. I want to continue coughing blood. Nurgle, why do you turn your back to me?
Absolute sodomite.
I have mold all across my ceiling, and I just live with it.
I think that's a
Black
common.
I think that's a common what?
There's just a commonality amongst all the inverted.
What is exactly?
The mold.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that it's not actually true, but I would like to take credit for that. I'd like to take full credit for that. I'd like to claim that I'm the reason why the mold is all pervasive.
We're all one in the spore.
Praise the spore.
We're all one in the whore.
Venerate the spore. Love the spore, and the spore shall love you in return.
Be a whore for the spore.
Be the whore.
Like, bitch as much as you want, yes. From time to time, I cough blood. However, I also broke my knee, and in 3 days, I was better.
You're
Nurgle
not gonna
provides.
exist.
Nurgle
You're not gonna
provides.
exist when you leave your fucking horizon realm.
You say that like that's a bad thing. You're gonna die when you leave. Thank God, it's about time.
I'm just not looking forward to if I'm the one who has to drive you out of there or something and you just fucking decompose into a pile of rot.
Don't even worry about it, dude. Just fucking dump me in a gutter in LA and claim that you never knew me. My family doesn't know what you look like. They don't know. They all they know is the word Christian. If someone approaches you and they're like, "Hey, this fat cunt died in your city," you know anything about that? Say, "Oh no, my name's Jared. Christian's just my religion." Better yet, tell them, oh no, I tell people that I'm Christian, but that's because if I tell them that I venerate the spore, they get offended.
To the window. Till sweat drips down my balls.
If I actually die from tuberculosis and any of you cunts are at my funeral, please explicitly name Enforced Remorse Horse for doing this to me.
Right. Noted. I don't want. Don't die because I don't want to have to fly out to fucking Oklahoma.
No one wants to fly out to Oklahoma. You say that like it's a like it doesn't mean anything. No one wants to fly to Oklahoma.
Well, like doubly so because I'm fucking here and I don't want to have to go that far to just like either go home or to go fucking back here.
If you do end up in Sreya having to fly to Oklahoma for my funeral and you decide, fuck it, I'm staying in America, don't fly to LA. Take the Greyhound and tell my story to my people.
Noted. To my people. Good Band-Aid.
Especially the people wearing suits who don't know what they signed up for. Because those cunts deserve max terror.
What did they do to you?
They signed up. They signed up. It's not my fault that they didn't know what they were signing. Oh, I want to save like $100. I'll just take the Greyhound. It's just public transport. Like it's all the same. It's just cheaper, dude. And I have a day to burn. It doesn't matter. Okay, welcome to hell.
Welcome to the nightmare.
Exactly.
This bus don't stop. Oh my god. Wait,
Is that your character sheet, Dag?
That's what I have so far before we basically trailed off.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna look at it.
That's up to spending the freebie points.
Yeah, that's done. I thought your character sheet was Bane for a moment. Fucking download history.
I mean, that could be badass.
No, someone else already has dibs on making a Bane character.
Is he a luchador vampire too?
Luchador.
No, he's a mage.
He's a
Nah, dude.
muscle
There's only
mage.
one kind of There's only one kind of luchador vampire, and that's a Nosferatu.
3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13. Wait, what? 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 15. Okay, noted. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you fucked up somewhere, dude.
I reshuffled my prioritized categories around. I might have added one too many somewhere.
Your blood pool's wrong off the top. Your knowledges, which I believe were 13, are actually 15. However, you would need 4. Or 7, 14. Yeah, you spent too many freebies or something's wrong here.
Yeah, I spent the 2 on the discipline and 1 on melee. But
Melee. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is all fucked up, or I'm very drunk. I'll look at it again, like tomorrow or day after.
I could have fucked it up. Like I did reshuffle.
Looking at it, I think all I need to do is remove like 2 knowledge dots and 1 talent dot, and it would be correct. But I might be wrong. I'll look at it when I'm sober. I don't want to make you change your character while I'm drunk and could be misreading. But that said, if your character is wrong in the way I think it is, I'm willing to give you a pass on the condition that you know that if you should join the mage game we've talked about, that kind of shit will get you killed. Because if it's always a different GM in that game, me personally, I feel perfectly justified in if I find out a player's been cheating, I have no problems with just killing you as a punishment.
Well, I mean, if you tell me that there's something wrong with it, I'm gonna change.
Oh yeah,
I'm
of
not
course.
gonna. I don't like to like bend the rules on
No,
shit.
okay. Cheating may not be the best word. Cheating. If you're wrong on your stats, I think it's fair that I give you a warning. But if it persists, then I'll just kill you. It can be cheating through malicious intent or cheating through incompetence. Either or are basically the same thing. But this is tutorial mode where there's a whole lot of lenience.
I'll look at it myself. So 7.
Yeah, you have the.
I'm gonna go to bed.
7,
Alright, man. Yeah, I mean you have the book and
Attributes are right. So
3, 6, 7, 8.
13. So wait,
9.
talents might have 13.
What might have fucked you is look at your skills, right? You have 2 etiquette, 4 melee, 3 performance. That comes out to 4, 5, 7, 8, 9.
I'm taking 1 off of empathy. That one's fucked up. Let's see.
2.
Skills is 9.
Yeah, that looks right. Wait, you
8.
spent 14 freebies on celerity. It is 2 freebies for a skill, so you can't afford to spend freebies on abilities.
Hold on a second.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You also have 15 knowledges. And you have 6 virtues. That's not right.
What?
You have 4 courage, so that's 3 there. 3 self-control, that's 2, and then 2 conscience, that's 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. You should have 7, so there should be another dot in your virtues. I don't know. I'll look over it again when I'm sober. I don't want to make any judgments.
No, this is definitely. I can't remember what I like where. I remember looking at it like I could spend. I put 2 in disciplines and then I put that freebie somewhere. That extra.
Yeah. It gets a little complicated, but you know how it works now, so
Yeah.
it shouldn't be difficult to fix if there's something wrong.
I'll just probably. So wait, what's background? Yeah, so
Your backgrounds are fine. Just the page for character gen. Just remember, attributes start at 1. Distribution is 7, 5, 3. Abilities start at 0. Distribution is 13, 9, 5. Discipline start at 3. Or start at 0. The distribution is 3. Backgrounds start at 0. Distribution is 5. Virtues start at 1. Distribution is 7.
Yeah, I'm gonna redo the abilities section. Just
Yeah, it's a pretty simple thing.
I can't
Like
even
it took me like a good 2 or 3 hours the first time I did a World of Darkness character sheet. But after that first time, I'm
Yeah.
able to do character sheets in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, you have to digest all the shit that's being thrown at you.
Yeah. Once you understand how it works, and it's not complicated, so it's easy. It gets so much simpler to do it again and again and again.
Okay, so 2, 3.
I couldn't find it, TM. I don't know what server it's pinned in. I have it narrowed down to like 2 servers. But yeah, okay, so it's in house game. I don't know what channel it's pinned in. Though I'll look again. See if it's in there. Are you sure it's not in the labyrinth? It might be in the labyrinth. I'll check the labyrinth pins. I want to say it's actually there.
2, 5, 6,
Jump.
8.
Clackety click. Open my stick. Oh, I found it, I think, TM. I think I found it. Still talk. Yeah, it's in the labyrinth under Vamp Magadanda. Here it is. It was in the labyrinth. There's your Talk to Demons, Steel Soul character. So, Dag, as if your character sheet has some mistakes, look at what I just posted. This is TM's first try. TM every on it.
Trickster. Sensing a running theme. Is this gay, Larry?
Like it's so wrong. Stats are wrong. The powers are straight up made up. Like those don't exist. And he didn't even bother to use like MS Paint typing. He just drew it with his mouse, so it's like it's not even legible.
Why would I have a 3 in medicine?
I don't know. Medicine's a useful skill.
No, why? He said he made me. Why do I have a 3 in medicine?
Come again, mate?
It sounds like he made a character that's based on me, but I have three.
No, that was TM's own character, and he later, after a lot of beration from everyone else involved, he actually did it right. His character was a pseudo doctor. I don't remember if he actually had his. I don't know if he had his medical license, but he was trained in medicine. I'm pretty sure that he worked at a hospital in capacity, but he also stole from his hospital like a whole lot. Oh. Oh, okay. I see. So he made that character, and then shortly after, you began to demon.
Well, I am good at persuasion and alertness.
Larry the male nurse. Did he die in the same game Cletus died in? I think he did. I think I killed Larry. And then almost gameplay time, it took a while. But if you use theater of the mind and picture the order of events, I think I was like almost immediately killed after. You weren't told the main selling of our mage game, Dag.
What's that?
So, standard for World of Darkness, you complete a single game, you get 1 XP, and then there are a series of criteria and questions that you must answer. And provided you meet all the criteria, questions to the GM's satisfaction, you may gain at the maximum 4 XP. So one game is 1 to XP. And then you spend your XP on whatever you like, be it abilities, attributes, or training your disciplines, for example, for Vampire. The way our mage game works is there are only 2 states that you can achieve at the end of a game, and that is success or failure. If you fail, you get 5 XP, so it's already more than the best standard World of Darkness game. And you may spend that 5 XP on whatever you like. If you succeed, you get 10 XP, so that is 2.5 standard games, and you get what is called a gift. To explain it in a terminology I believe you will understand, a gift is a discipline. It is a supernatural power that you now have access to and can train in the future, and you get it with no strings attached. So, you can have a combination of disciplines that vampires can never achieve, but gifts are not limited to disciplines. Gifts are any supernatural power in the entire setting of darkness. So it can be vampire gifts or
Rank
vampire
5
disciplines.
celerity.
It can be, well, no, you would start out with rank 1 celerity, but you would be able to buy it up with XP very quickly. But it can also be, this is a bit confusing, werewolf disciplines, right? Their magic is called gifts, but for the purposes of the mage game, ignore that. You just get a supernatural power any splat within World of Darkness. So you can get the powers of a vampire, the powers of a werewolf, the powers of a mummy, the powers of a fairy, the powers of a changeling, the powers of a hunter. Anything. You can get access to it, and then you buy it up with the XP, where one game, if you succeed, is 2.5 standard games.
Is that how a guy ended up becoming the Thing and self-replicating himself?
Yeah, it's because you are given these supernatural powers and you're given enough XP to progress far 250% faster than what you can progress in the standard game. So it's fucked. And the reason it's a mage game, mages have to work with or around the paradigm. Marauders, which is what you're playing in that, batshit insane. They don't have to work with the paradigm at all. So what it means on a meta level is you are essentially gaining spheres in Magic, but instead of it being extremely versatile, you don't even know you're a mage. You're gaining rotes, you're gaining rituals you perform, and they can be rituals that last hours or rituals that last seconds. You're gaining rituals that use true magic. So, like I said, like I gave this comparison earlier, celerity is super speed. If you take celerity in the mage game that you may play in someday, you're not actually taking celerity. What you're doing is gaining a new ritual involving time spheres. So you have a specific ritual that you perform, and you use time magic to get X number of additional actions. You are slowing down time around you locally so that as far as everyone else can see, you have sped up to superhuman length. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That's the meta of it. It's a really, really interesting game when you play it.
I could throw an interesting element into it where people start turning into the Thing or time shifters.
Yeah, I can tell you all about it if you'd like. If you would. It's interesting to say the least.
I think I can visualize it.
Yeah. Every game's a nightmare, though.
Do tards in the game get ripped apart for not knowing what they're doing?
Define tards.
Not someone who made a fuck up, but someone who just plain does not know what the fuck they're doing.
Do you mean not know what the fuck they're doing in the sense that they do not know the meta, or do you mean in the sense that the player is somewhat incompetent?
Well, I guess it couldn't be much worse than the vampire or Shadowrun, honestly.
Like, if you're, as a player, incompetent, you're gonna be fucking destroyed. If you don't know the meta, you're probably fine, as long as you're competent.
Well,
The
if you
the benefit is if your character gets killed, there's always room for more characters. One of the most important things, not at first, wait until your first character gets killed before you will truly understand that. But one of the most important things about the mage game is having more than one character. Like, I made Cletus Sterling, resident of Southern California, who owned a pseudo compound and trafficked in drugs and firearms illegally. He was hyper competent, extremely skilled at what he wanted to do, but when it came down to it, he was murdered by others like him. That was my first character. It hurt to see him die. But after he died, because he was my first character, what I did immediately was not make a new character. I made 2 new characters, and I play both of them depending on what one I'm in the mood to play. So if one of them dies, that sucks. I can make more, but all my progress hasn't been lost because my other character has good shit as well. If that makes sense.
yeah.
Full disclosure, I'm fairly drunk right now.
I'm probably gonna get high later today.
And when is later today?
I don't know, maybe after this, go to sleep, wake up, and then smoke a bowl.
How many bowls do you have?
I'm at the end of my bag of weed that I've had for months, and I decided to save it for today.
Do you have more than one bowl?
No, it's basically just enough to get pretty fucked up from one bowl.
Damn. I was gonna ask that you share this, get high, be semi-buzzed and chill. But I understand that you're an American, as am I. It's 6 a.m. here, and I'm like a little over halfway through my bowl, so I have a few hours left before I even consider sleep.
This is really when I go to sleep, because if I fuck up my sleep schedule, I'll fall asleep and not go into work again.
Well, if you need to go to bed, go to bed.
It's not crucial, like, you wrapped up talking about mage and vampire?
Yeah, if you need to go, go.
I'm just gonna throw on some anime and fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will see you later. It was good talking.
You too.